All right, we are working on getting live here, everybody. You may have an audio feed. And so hopefully we have an audio feed. Let me check it on our end. I'm going to go ahead. We'll bring in a video feed here in a second. May have an, yep, we've got audio on our end. I see a couple people. This is a live stream, guys. Live video broadcast and chat. It is public, open to everybody on YouTube. And I'm going to bring in a video feed here for you guys. So let us know when video and audio is good so that we know we're out there on our end. It's looking good. I'm waiting for our video feed on our end here. And again, this is live, public. Most of the time when we do these, guys, this is reserved for our beloved patron member, our paying patron members of Law Abiding Biker Media. We do these all the time throughout the year, but once in a while we like to do one like this that's for everybody to kind of give you a little bit of a taste behind the scenes, so to speak.
It's kind of like being a drug dealer. We'll just give you a little taste.
That's right. There you go. Yeah. Just a little taste, like Lurch says. And it kind of gives you an idea of the amount of networking that goes on, the amount of just, bikers helping bikers, connecting with bikers, and a little bit inside look on what goes on daily in the private Facebook group and just all the fun and laughs that we have. So certainly we'd love to have you as a patron member, lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. There's a plethora of benefits over there that we give you. This, again, is just an inside look of one of the benefits that we give our mid-level and above patron members. Lurch, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, Gary Jackson, patron member, has already commented, "Hello, guys, not working for a change."
Ooh.
And having a whiskey. And
Very nice.
to watch the entire show.
We're gonna Cheers. We're going to try to monitor this chat the best we can. I know it's going to blow up. And again, just for all you patron members, remember this is public, so you're going to have a lot of people in there that aren't normally in there, just so you know. We do have our moderators, and we appreciate that in place. On this channel, it's Bikers Helping Bikers, and we monitor, and we have a lot of moderators. So if you see something and we get a troll in here, which happens when you go public live, just go ahead. You have my full permission to block them, ban them, do whatever. If it's not appropriate and it doesn't serve the biker community and or the conversation at hand, then go ahead. That's why we make you guys moderators, is just ban them. So yeah, we'll have you moderators really watch that chat, because we're going to be busy here. And we usually don't have much of a problem. Once in a while we'll have a troll sneak in, but they get banned pretty quick. So thank you very much, guys. And again, this is kind of the raw behind the scenes of how we do our lives. And with that said, we do have some special guests here, but we're going to get to all that in a minute. We should actually get this show started. So let's do that. You tired of a sore and achy ass, Anthony?
Not anymore.
What'd I tell you?
I've got the butt buffer.
Well, I didn't say what kind of sore and achy ass.
He never lets you off that easy, bud.
I would suggest not binge drinking late at night.
That's not his problem.
Oh.
I've got that one under control pretty good. I'm pretty well conditioned.
Then I would suggest not hanging out in a Speedo in the dark alleys after drinking.
You meet some interesting people that way, though.
I would imagine you do. But you can fix it. You can fix your tired and sore and achy ass if it's motorcycle related. Fix it with a high quality butt buffer seat cushion. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/check out our full line of butt buffer seat cushions. We have to, it's Anthony, and he's never been live on the podcast before, so I got to pick on him today. So there you go.
Bring it on.
I love it when somebody else is on, because he constantly picks on me.
Right. It's true. Lurch is finally like and last week too, with Big Daddy and Oscar.
Yeah. Yep.
I was finally picking on somebody else. I'm actually lately just having fun. All right. We got a email, it looks like, in the queue here that I believe Lurch must know about this.
Yeah, this
I got mail. Yay! I got mail. Yay!
This is an email we received recently from Jeff Sarderly, and he unfortunately had a package delay. We put on a
from the store.
From the store.
Okay.
Thank you for making that apparent.
Law Abiding Biker store, to be exact.
Exactly. So we had a Black Friday sale through Cyber Monday sale, and we had a lot of orders, so we sent a lot of stuff out. We only had one package get delayed. Unfortunately, it was Jeff's. So him and I have been going back and forth, and finally it showed up. So here's what he said. Thank you so much, Lurch. The package showed up today. It's an absolute honor to do business with you guys. Your videos and podcasts have kept my mind alert during long nights on the road as a heavy equipment mechanic in some dark places in life. Lab has become a critical part of my mental health, keeping me focused and willing to grow.
Like that.
As someone who's owned a small business and feels how painful retail can be at times, I thank you. I'm forever grateful for this life, for writing, and for you and Ryan pushing it above and beyond to serve us. Being average is its own punishment, and I thank you guys for taking the hard road. A heartfelt Merry Christmas to you both and your families.
Very nice. We appreciate the email. Anytime you guys want to hit us up, you can go over to our contact page, lawabidingbiker.com/contact. You can leave a email over there. It's a contact form, or better yet, we'd love to hear your beloved voices, and you can leave a voicemail from your computer, smartphone for free, from anywhere in the world. And we'll put you on the episode. You can even just send us something funny or bust our chops. We don't care, but we just love to hear from you. So thank you very much for sending that email in. All right, guys, here's the dealio. All right. As bikers, we all know that unexpected things can happen. You've been out on the road, unexpected things can happen, whether it's a breakdown. Of course, most of us, for years, we're always prepared for mechanical issues because they can happen, right? And we have our beloved Cruise Tools RTH3 kits that can be found right in the Law Abiding Biker store. Why you have to call a tow truck over a minor repair, right? Nice kits, selling a bunch of them right now, especially during the holiday season. We have used it multiple times on long distance trips to get our bikes back on the road and continue our trip without interfering too much. So again, that's our Cruise Tools RTH3 kit. However, we're guilty. I'm guilty. We were talking about it last episode. For years, I wasn't prepared for something worse, which is a medical issue or one of our buddies going down or something like that. So we had been asked a lot over the years to bring some sort of first aid biker approved kit to the Law Abiding Biker store. And that's exactly what we did probably about a year ago now, or maybe even a little bit more. I can't remember. That's neither here nor there. It's been out for a while. We do sell a heck out of them. So when we did this, we kind of vetted it. We looked at a lot of different kits for you guys. The biggest thing is bikers tend to go overboard, and we want to get everything, and we only have limited amount of room. So we really decided amongst us here at Law Abiding Biker Media, okay, we want to keep it small, affordable. That's really cool that we were able to keep it affordable, small, and we wanted to have just what you need, what's realistic, and what kind of injury you're actually going to be treating out there, aside from something really, really catastrophic. So we are very excited. Again, it's been out for a while, but it is available. We do have them in stock, and we have more coming, guys, because you guys are buying them so fast. And that is our beloved Law Abiding Biker First Aid and Trauma Kit. Comes with everything you need, such as a plethora of different size bandages, gauze, compression dressing, medical tape, latex gloves, whistle, scissors, rescue blanket, and most importantly, a military tourniquet that can save a life. That's for that trauma. I know military, most police are carrying them now. You should have a tourniquet, and they're not hard to use. You can get on YouTube within 2 minutes. You can at least have a good idea of how a tourniquet works, and they do save a lot of lives to stop the bleeding. So we wanted to make sure it did have that tourniquet in there. Best of all, like I say, all these items are inside a very tightly packed tactical nylon MOLLE bag measuring 8x4x4. Best of all is that, it's designed by us. It's approved because it has our name right on the outside of the kit. This is not something you should have, but a must have at all times. And again, if I didn't mention, we're able to keep it affordable. We really want to get it in everybody's hands. So you can get it, the Law Abiding Biker First Aid and Trauma Kit, right in the Law Abiding Biker store. Oh, and if you end up using it and you're still alive.
I think that goes without saying, doesn't it?
I always have to say it, though.
If you survived your ordeal.
If you survived your ordeal, please send us a story about it. If you're willing to share, we would love to share it with the audience. And again, we were guilty for years, not anymore. I know Anthony, we talked about last episode, is rocking one. We're all rocking them. There's no reason. We have them on our adventure bikes now. It's just a good thing to have, along, of course, with the toolkit. That's important, but this is probably honestly more important. All right. So We got any more emails or voicemails or nothing?
No,
We're running
just
short,
that one.
dude. All right.
We usually do one an episode, and you got it.
I know. Oh, yeah. Once you've used Rick Rack, you'll never go back. The ultimate motorcycle luggage rack solution. Forget those messy straps and bungee cords. Go strapless with a Rick Rack quick attach luggage system and quality bag. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store. Get hooked up now. Hey, Bikeaholics. 03D has a wide variety of innovative products for your Harley-Davidson and a brand new line for the all-new Honda Goldwing named Gold Strike.
I like gold.
Top quality, affordable chrome lighting and comfort products. Zero Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store and check out our full line of 03D products. So we haven't mentioned this in a while. Now, I do have Lurch will attest.
How come you're not doing the fresh balls?
Oh, I can if you'd like.
I think you should.
Who doesn't love some fresh balls?
I was say, are you trying to keep this PG because we have a lady in the house? or
No,
what?
we've just done it a lot the past episode, so I was trying to change it up.
All right.
Have I been missing some of these? What are these fresh balls?
Oh, really? You don't know what fresh balls
You
are?
need to know about fresh balls.
the dude wipes that you talk about, but
Oh, you haven't heard of the fresh balls?
No, have I been missing these episodes? I got to get caught up.
He's definitely been missing the episodes.
Yeah, I'm running behind. I guess.
Okay, well, here's
what I'm picking up is Anthony's balls are not fresh.
Well, I wasn't going to say
Guess
anything, but I will say when he showed up at the studio, I did smell some nut rot.
Yeah, was it that long drive over the mountains to get here?
It might have been.
We did determine a few episodes ago there is such thing as
There
nut
is.
rot that Justin Oscar is suffering from.
And I knew it to be true, but you confirmed it on a very valid site.
Yeah, the Urban Dictionary. I'm looking it up right now.
I think it was lickmynuts.com.
No.
Isn't that okay?
It was the Urban Dictionary.
All right. All right. Well, we did confirm it. Nut rot is a real thing. All right. So, there's some powders and different things you can use, right? It's not now I ride a motorcycle every day, 100+ degree weather. We all know, we want the nuts fresh. Okay. So we came up with a product. Now we've got something for ladies too. We're going to get to that because the ladies, obviously,
that could also be nut rot these days.
It could.
It's true.
It will,
in this state.
That's a good point right there. So we actually tried and tested this. It is for real, guys. And it is called Fresh Balls. And you can head over to Law Abiding Biker. This is a real link, by the way. lawabidingbiker.com/fresh-balls. It is literally like a deodorant for your balls. And it actually works. I know Oscar's tested it. Lurch has tested it. And it's really my go-to. So the powders we found, like, they don't stop you from sweating. They soak up the sweat, and they're a little messy.
Yeah, you make cake.
You make cake, sweat cake, basically.
Pancake batter.
Right.
Pretty much.
Delicious.
Yes, delicious. This actually is, like I say, deodorant, and it really does work, guys.
Antiperspirant.
An antiperspirant. There you go. And for you ladies, you can get a little sweat under the tatties, and that's a real thing. And so the ladies need something, and so we have it for ladies, and it's called Fresh Breasts for you lady riders to keep the breasts fresh. That's over at lawabidingbiker.com/fresh-breasts. And on those, guys, no additional cost to you, but we do get a small commission if you click through and make a purchase. Now Lurch. I know, here's the deal. We tested the fresh balls, but I needed somebody to test the fresh breasts, and Lurch has moobs.
Yeah.
And it was close
My older
enough.
years, sure.
It was close enough. And so Lurch can attest that we don't have a fresh moobs link, but I would just suggest you go
My underboob was very fresh.
It was very fresh. It does work. So there you go. That's our scientific testing. And there you go, guys. It's only going to get more ridiculous from here. We got a lot of people in the chat. Henry Happen there. Yeah, it's good to have all you guys in the chat. I say we just, let's get this thing started. That's what we ought to do. We got a podcast to do, Lurch. Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it takes us 15 minutes to start. That's how we roll. Welcome back, you freaking bikeaholics. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority, the Big MM, also known as the
99%.
large and in charge of the motorcycle scene. That's right, more than any time in history. By being here, by listening, you're part of what we call the hashtag
Biker Revolution.
We do have just one question before we get started.
What are you waiting for, bikeaholics? Mount up and let us take you on another wild-ass ride.
Ryan Urlacher, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast, and your
high-tech redneck
special guests, as you can see. I'll just put them in on the cam here so you can see them. Of course, Lurch is with us here, and we got to move that whiskey bottle or something out of the way. And that
such a great-looking bottle.
Back a little bit. There we go. Only because
we should show it off first, though.
Yeah, there you go. This is Anthony Peters right here. And his lovely wife, much lovelier,
So
Stacy
lovely.
Peters, in the house. And yeah, we've got a great episode for you there. It was having problems focusing because all the stuff was too close. We've got an awesome episode for you guys. We are going to talk all about Indian versus Hardy, but we're going to have fun doing it because it's a conversation that a lot have. I'm going to get more into it and kind of why we're doing this episode and kind of how it came about. But first, we're always putting out new videos. And if you want to chat with us, you got to be a subscriber. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and that will allow you to chat. I know most of you in there are obviously longtime subscribers to the channel. We appreciate that very much. Cranking out videos faster than we can announce them. And but Lurch does want to mention this is one of our videos that we released some time ago.
Did we? Yeah, it was a while ago. So this is the Serial Latitude taillight and license plate holder with light strike technology for Harley. And the link to it is in the show notes. The cool thing about this is it's a refresh to the Latitude that I had on my bike several years ago, which just basically was on, brake, turn. This thing now has light strike technology, so it does all kinds of crazy animations, and it's a lot of fun. And also now available for the Ultras.
Yeah, very nice. And of course, we sell all that in the store, guys. And the nice thing about buying from our store is, well, you know who you're helping, obviously, and we appreciate that so much. But also, we take videos like that are very detailed install videos. They're not only like review videos, but detailed install videos. We embed those right in the store listing. So you buy a product from us, you get a free video right in the listing on exactly how to install it. So you can save money, because what's better than saving money? So you can buy more parts for your motorcycle and have the pure satisfaction of wrenching on your own bike, right? We talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So main topic, we are going to dive right in. And like I said, most of these are for patron members, these lives, and we appreciate everybody being here live. I'll just mention it one more time. If you want to get signed up as a patron member and see all the benefits you get, and you want access to future live video broadcasts and chat like this, it's all over at lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. Going strong and going into 2024, going to blow it up even more with like 4 different huge ride meetup and at least 3 confirmed and probably a 4th all over the United States at this point. And so get connected. It's a great community, great way to network. And again, that's just a couple more of the massive benefits you get for being a patron member. And we get to know you better. And that's best of all. And case in point, we have Anthony Peters right here in the studio, who is a patron member. And like I said, his wife, Stacy. And we put patron members right here when they're in town. He happened to be here visiting some family for the holidays. He's a longtime patron member, supporting patron member. And we like to get you guys. We've had him and a lot of other members right here. Oops, I got the camera switched up. We got a lot of other patron members in the studio over the years, and we love having you guys here. And we talked about a little bit. I don't know of any other platforms that do a lot of that, where they actually bring their members on. And that's near and dear to my heart. We just did a 2-hour episode and talked nothing. It wasn't live. It was recorded. It'll go out in regular podcast format. You patron members, it'll be uploaded to your patron accounts in a couple days. So you get it months before everybody else. But we did a long 2-hour talk, and it was really good just getting to know Anthony and kind of the background. And we had a lot of fun and laughs and stories in between. So look forward to that episode too. In a couple months or so, it'll come out in regular podcast format. All right. So a little bit of background before we dive into the deep conversation. So if you guys, most of you know, you're obviously subscribers of the channel and listen to the podcast. Earlier in this year, I guess it's still 2023, back in September, I believe, Indian. I've tested a lot of Harleys, been to a lot of events, ride reviews, all that kind of stuff. Well, we got an Indian contact. They sent me an 2023 Indian Pursuit Dark Horse. And I went ahead. I thought I was going to have that bike a short amount of time. And so we took, me and Lurch, we put it together. It was hectic. We went on a trip to Spokane, Washington, which is about 3 hours away. We wanted to do a video and a real solid review of it and get as much time. And I like to really like review touring bikes when I can actually tour on it. And I get more time with it. So we put some miles in over a weekend, did a lot of filming. Anyways, I released that video on the channel, and it is my Indian Pursuit review video. You can just search the channel and you'll find that Indian Pursuit review video. It got a lot of views and a lot of comments. I really went into it objectively. I've told everybody, like, I like all motorcycles. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I've always said that, like, some people are so brand loyal and they're so into their one brand, and there's a lot of reasons for that, which we don't need to get into. But I always find it fascinating that some people aren't willing to just straddle a different brand bike. Like, there's so many bikes out there and there's so much offer. You are limiting yourself. Even if you don't, for whatever reason, you have a bias against another brand, it's probably an undeserved bias because you've probably never ridden the other brand. But I tell everybody, like, the best thing for us as motorcyclists is, let's just talk Indian and Harley specifically. The best thing about those two going head to head is we win. Consumer wins. So why you wouldn't want that, I guess I don't understand. But there are some out there, and we got some comments. And I'm going to say on both sides, it's amazing to me at some people who are so stuck on Harley and some people who are so stuck on Indian. And we got some comments like, if you're riding a brand, whether it's Harley or Indian, and you come to me and tell you that everything's perfect on it, I already know there's a bias there. It's not true, right? Like, I ride Harleys. I've bashed Harley for a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. And I'll bash Indian for a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, because that just helps them push it forward. They give them to influencers, reviewers like us. Hopefully I know they do at this point. They want fair, constructive feedback. It can be done in a professional way. But it wouldn't be a fair review if I just said everything was perfect, because it's not true. It's not true with my Harley sitting out there, and it's certainly not true with that Indian. Speaking of, so we had the Indian longer term, and I still have it as of today. So I've had it like for 4.5 months.
I wish we would have known that ahead of time. We wouldn't have been so rushed to do our review. We could have planned it out a little bit longer.
Maybe plan out some more projects with it.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely, which may happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're still getting content out. I've been riding the heck out of that thing. I mean, they left it with me. I wish I could get all bikes this long term, because I did, in my initial review, learn some different things, and that's okay. They're not huge groundbreaking things, but you do learn the more time when you're riding it daily and firing it up and running errands and running this. You just learn a lot more about a bike, and so I wish I could have them all that long, but I still have it. And so, to go back a little bit, that's the background. And so Anthony rode Harleys for years, and he switched to Indian. And so he was in town for the holidays, and we've known him for a long time now. And we thought it would be a good idea to get him on here. And he wants to discuss some of the differences. And I obviously have ridden both too. I went down to California, one of the first ones to ride the new 2023 CVOs from Harley-Davidson, amazing bikes too. And so I've got to ride both of them. And so hopefully I can be very objective. We're kind of going to do pros and cons of both. And I know Anthony from reading, he did notes, and I already know from just glazing through him that he's being very unbiased and objective about it. I think there's some pluses and minuses to, like I said, to all bikes. So with that said, I get to pick Anthony's brain, because he does have experience with both brands. And I know you guys are going to chat a lot. This is going to be very objective. And remember, even though we try to be objective, some things can still be subjective. And what I mean is, okay, so let's say Lurch likes the looks of the new Pursuit fairing, and I don't like it. That's very subjective, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. More objective things are like horsepower, torque, vibration, things like that. So of course there's always going to be some subjectivity, because everybody likes a little bit different look and style and feel. But we're going to have fun and kind of go back and forth. And I'm actually very interested to see what Anthony says. And Stacy's riding an Indian herself.
I am a chieftain.
Mm-hmm. She's actually, she had one before me actually. So
yeah,
I was the OG.
She kind of spurred the change.
Now, I didn't get to ask last episode. Did you ride Harleys before?
Yeah,
by
so,
yourself?
So the first
Okay.
one that I had was a Dyna Lowrider, but I loved my Indians way more than I ever loved my Dyna Lowrider.
We should have brought Indian John if you like Indians.
Oh, yeah,
She's
he's
a
actually
real one.
a real life Native American.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love riding an Indian?
I mean,
John would love to hear that.
Stacy's got some zingers. Let me tell you, she zinged Anthony. I think she won last episode of
there
It
was
Zingers.
was
no
like 4
competition.
zings to 1 zing.
Yeah, 4 zings to 1 zing. So good. So Stacy's here too, and so it'll be interesting because we don't unfortunately get a lot of females on the podcast. We know when we have a demographic of female listeners for sure. So here you go, female rider on an Indian. So this is going to be fun. Why don't you just start the conversation here and talk about a little bit of your background with the audience of Harleys and kind of what you've had in a nutshell, and then let's start talking about. I guess the one thing I didn't see in your notes is the ultimate reason why you switched. But do we want to save that for the end?
I would say so.
You want to go over
let's save
specs
that.
and the
Let's-
differences, and we'll
yeah.
save that. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. So yeah, give us a background, brother.
So for me, for the actual like long distance riding, not like dirt bikes or anything like that, I started getting into the street riding when I finally had the financial means. It was like 2010 or so. No, it was after 2010. Anyway, about 12 years ago, we'll say. I was here in Washington and I was buying my first serious bike. And I was on the fence. I was looking at, like the Triumph Bonneville or, a nice BMW maybe. I even considered Ducati, and a friend of mine, her dad was like a mechanic on a Ducati race team. And he's like, unless you know what you're doing and you like to work on it a lot, stay away from Ducati. So that immediately took me away from them. And then a coworker of mine, her husband was a salesman at the Tacoma Harley dealership here in Tacoma, Washington. So it was someone I felt, I was comfortable with, and I went and talked to him, and he ended up getting me on. My first bike was an 883 lowrider. And that was a great starter bike. And I know a lot of people told me like, oh, no. You want to go bigger. You're going to get tired of that Sportster too fast. But financial constraints kept me from getting something like a Dyna or a Softail. So I went with the Sportster. It was great. Loved riding it. Even here in the Pacific Northwest, I just learned to have saddlebags and, keep your wet weather gear with you since I was on that side of the mountains. Over here, it's obviously drier. You guys, you're always showing us videos and it's nice sunny days and
The desert.
right. And I remember over there, it's like, I don't care what it looks like when you leave the house. It may not be that way when you come home. So, wet weather riding was just a part of riding over on that side of the mountains here in Washington. So rode that for a couple years. Eventually I was living in Colorado. That was about 2014. We moved to Colorado and I upgraded to a Fat Boy. It was a 2004 Fat Boy that was just compared to the Sportster, which even when I upgraded to a Mustang seat on it, it was just, hard suspension, short wheelbase. You felt every bump. It wore you out on a ride, and like I mentioned on our last episode, my first long distance ride was from Tacoma, Washington, all the way around Mount Rainier. So anybody from, up in this area, that's a long ride. It took us about 4 hours that day to get around the mountain. But it was a learning experience and it taught me. And then, so moving up to the Fat Boy, I started to appreciate comfort. Now I had a big Tombstone windshield in front of me. I had a comfortable seat that instead of just, like padding on the frame, this was now a seat I could do long rides with. I didn't need a break after a half hour of riding.
Mm-hmm.
Had my first big accident with that one. And then from that, I actually ended up finding an Ultra Classic, which was a very comfortable bike. I know Stacy really enjoyed riding on that one because that thing was like,
It was like a couch.
oh yeah, it was a lazy boy going down the road. The thing was, an Ultra Classic was a little too old manish for me. It's like I needed something younger. So I had that for almost a year and I traded it for a Street Glide. And that's where I really found the right balance of performance and comfort in a bike. And that's when my long distance riding really took off. I mean, I still had temp tags on that bike, and me and some buddies rode up to Sturgis. So that was my first experience in Sturgis in 2017. But from there I was hooked, and I'd already, at that point, I'd already found the podcast and been listening to you guys and everything. So it was just a progression from there. But, you know, like reviews you did back then, there's always something that, you know, it's like, oh, they could do this better. They could do that better. All my Harley-Davidsons I purchased were always used. And I'll even tell people nowadays, like, buying a used Harley is often a good investment because somebody's already put the work into it. Mm-hmm. Okay. One thing I've never liked about stock Harleys, you know, a lot of people tell you, oh, the exhaust, I can get over that. You know, I've lost enough hearing. I don't need loud pipes because I can't hear half of it anyway. Handlebars. I've never gotten on a stock Harley-Davidson and thought, oh, I like where these handlebars are. No.
You're above average sized. If you were Ryan sized, pocket sized, you could.
Right. That's why I never change my bars because I love them, but it does depend.
5'10", 5'11". So
yeah,
you're above average height and size.
For what they're built for. They're built for 5'8" guys. Yeah. Same with Indians, 5'8" guys.
I'm bigger than 5'8".
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you like the stock bars?
No.
No, she doesn't.
I don't.
Okay. So yeah, again, yeah, definitely personal preference on that. So yeah.
So, and I mean, so much. So even talking to other people and helping other people make a decision, it's like, okay, buying a Harley-Davidson, I want to buy a new one because I want it to be mine. Okay. Unless you're buying a CVO, be prepared to do a lot of stuff to that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's never good as is. Stock Harley-Davidson is just kind of like, you know, I need a new seat. I need exhaust. I need handlebars. You need so many different things to make that bike yours and make that bike right for you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Even when we got the Dyna for Stacy, there were still other things that I did to it over time. I mean, by the time I was done with that bike and we were just like, okay, forget the Dyna. She's, you know, she never really liked the ride of it.
I didn't like the riding position, and it also was an anniversary edition. It was a 100th year anniversary edition, so it was very sparkly. And I am definitely like a matte black, like ratty looking bobber style person.
Yeah.
So.
I even learned to powder coat so that I could tone down some of the chrome on that bike.
It was a lot of chrome. It was a lot of chrome.
So let me piggyback off what you said, because it's a good conversation. Then there's actually a comment in here from somebody that I actually want to get into that. So we're kind of going to maneuver this because that's a part of being live, is I like to bring the audience into it, and it may take us in a direction I was saving till the end. With that said, I think that's interesting about, you know, Harleys need a lot of stuff to make them yours. True. But I also think that's kind of true for all bikes. I put just as much stuff on my KLR. And I know Oscar put just as much stuff on his dirt bike. And we say, are they ready out of the box? Technically they are. All these bikes, and I do know guys that keep them very stock. I guess it's like guns, it's like fishing, it's like hunting. And I said about our first aid trauma kits, we tend to go overboard. And so, yes, it's true but I think a lot of the stuff we buy is not necessary. We just do it because that's part of the sport.
It's aesthetics.
It's aesthetics. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? No, I don't need a lot of the crap I have on my bike. Actually, I rode with stock suspension for many years, and you'll get by. Is it much better with that? Absolutely. It's a much better ride, but it doesn't mean it's undoable. And so I think that, you know, getting into the sport of motorcycling, and I know sports bike guys, they spend just as much money, you know, in sports bikes. It's part of the passion and the love. And like you said, making it yours. So I just wanted to open that up. This is an interesting comment, which I think it'll be a good discussion. So Artie Moss is in the chat. So this is something that gets discussed a lot. And he says, not a Polaris fan. They will pull the plug just like they did with Victory. That's a real statement. And I appreciate it coming up. And I think it's a real conversation that we should have. right now. And I'll just give my take on it, and then I'll kind of see what you think. I think it's a valid concern. Does it mean that you shouldn't buy anything? Absolutely not. I think they're great bikes, and I'm going to give you some of the pros and cons of the Pursuit in my opinion. But here's the difference. So Polaris is a big company, huge company, and they clearly are focused on side-by-side snowmobiles. They have a division. They bought Indian. They've made some great upgrades and improvements to Indians. They did have Victory. We all know that died on the vine, unfortunately, because Victory wasn't a bad bike. We actually worked on a few. We had some friends that have them. I think some members may still have some older Victories. But when you get that, it seems like a big company like that, you get a little bit of less attention on any one place in the company. Whereas Harley, they make motorcycles. That's what they do. They just make motorcycles. It's kind of like Apple. They aren't Samsung. They don't make TVs, and they don't make computers, and they don't make mixers. Samsung makes freaking microwaves and refrigerators. And so everything's pretty good. But Apple keeps it what we are going to make is going to be fucking awesome, and it's going to work, and it's going to work really good. I'm not saying that about Harley. That's up for discussion. I'm just saying when you have a company that focuses on less products, they can definitely dial in. Just in one key point is their marketing team is in-house. We've worked with Indians. Well, Polaris went third party because obviously Indian's a division of. So my opinion is that is a concern, because once Victory died, you lose access. And they said that they were going to do parts for X amount of years, and they made some promises to customers. We found that some of those have not necessarily, because as parts run out, is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not. It wouldn't stop me from buying an Indian, but it is a concern. What's your guys' input on this, Lurch and Anthony and Stacy?
So no, you're absolutely right. It's definitely a concern. And I know, like, when Indian first came back under Polaris, I was skeptical, because how many times over history has Indian come and gone when someone else buys it? But this time Polaris was a company with staying power, but they didn't have, or rather the market didn't exist to continue the Victory as well as the Indian. But the Indian had more of that history and was going to give them the ability to compete with Harley-Davidson more. Victory struggled for so long. The only guys I knew that bought Victories or said, I want a Victory, they always backed it up with, because I don't like Harley being the big dog.
Right.
You show up on...
It's not a good reason to spend $40,000 in my opinion.
You're right. You're right.
But people say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I just didn't care for the lines on most of the Victories. Okay. It's almost like Kuryakin parts versus Zero 3D parts.
Mm-hmm.
The lines are a lot sharper, a lot harder on the Kuryakin, and I don't like them as much as I like the way the products from Zero look. And anyone that follows the podcast knows the history there. Mm-hmm. So,
right.
But I prefer Zero products better. Same reason I like when they switched over to Indian. First, they had a lot of I describe it as bubbly, classic Indian look. I wasn't in love with it. When they started to change the lines more to be more road glide, street glide, like, a lot of people were critical, like, oh, now you're copying Harley-Davidson. Hey, you got to be close to what everybody wants. Look at the cars. They do the same thing.
Right.
There's only so many aerodynamic shapes that you can have for fairings, et cetera. So.
Exactly.
Well said.
I can even, we can talk about, cars so much the same way, even when we go between, you can't say like, okay, a Camaro versus a Firebird, because they were essentially the same car, but you still look like there was the Corvette, and then what'd Mazda have? Remember Mazda came out with the little, what was it, the 300 or something? It looked like a miniature Corvette in the 80s.
I was born late 80s, baby.
Yeah, I'm looking at Lurch. I'm looking at Lurch.
Another zinger.
But you had the Z280 or something, you know, so you had manufacturers stealing some of the same looks and appearances from each other.
Apple made an iPhone. What did Samsung do? They made an iPhone, right? That's just the way it goes.
Look at the pickup truck. How many different ways can I make a pickup truck look different?
Right. Yeah. And, you know, these companies, like we said up front, you know, this is good for the consumer, but a lot of people say that like one's copying the other and the other. It goes on in the phone industry, the car industry, the motorcycle. You're stupid if some company, let's just say a company makes whatever, a Street Glide, and you aren't trying to make something to get a market share, then you're an idiot of a CEO of a company. Like that's the market share that you're going after. So I don't see, you know, any problem with that. But some guys, get too worried about the copy, but I'm glad you put that in perspective, like it is with cars and phones and everything. TVs, okay, they're copying each other. You know, I mean, that's just the way it goes.
I mean,
computers.
It's to a certain point where it's like, okay, I've changed enough. I'm not copying your design.
It's like the 20%. You have to change it like 20% in order to be your own thing.
To not be a patent thing or whatever.
I want to make a design that looks very similar to the law-abiding biker logo, but I've changed it 20%. Guess what? I'm outside the copyright now. So, you know, things like that. So, but I think the Indian is going to stick around because Polaris has the diversity. So this isn't the only thing they have the way Harley is. Well, they've got the clothing line and they've got the motor company. And we know the clothing line has saved the motor company in the past.
Yep.
Victory isn't worried about that. Okay. Victory has the ability to stick around and make Indian work. And I mean, they are putting the pressure on Harley-Davidson.
Right.
Okay. The non-American bikes, the metric bikes, you know, your Kawasaki, your Honda, you know, they've never really put the pressure on Harley-Davidson. Maybe for the entry-level market, for the, you know, smaller than an 883. Sure, they have there. You know, now as Harley riders, we consider an 883 an entry-level bike.
Mm-hmm.
But in the overall motorcycle world, that's, you know, a mid-level bike right there. Anything over 650, you know, so, but no, I definitely think that they are going to stick around. I would anticipate them getting rid of the slingshot before getting rid of the Indian line.
Interesting.
So
interesting.
I mean, that's just my take.
Right. Yeah.
The slingshot does really well as much as I despise the vehicle.
I like honesty.
They're kind of cool when they first came out.
So
I guess.
They were turning some heads.
Well, the issue I had with it was actually coming from the military, and they have, you know, your unit has a mentor that tracks everybody's training. Have they been through the proper training? Are they, you know, you even do regular rides to make sure people know how to ride safely and everything, and inspect their bikes, make sure they aren't riding with, you know, threadbare tires and stuff. Cause I've seen guys show up with that for a ride. But then it got to the point like, well, you got to track this, you know, this slingshot thing. Well, no, it's not a motorcycle. Had an interesting conversation with the owner of the Auburn Indian dealership the other day about that. So Department of Transportation considers it a motorcycle, yes, but you do not need a special license to operate it because you are still in a seat with a steering wheel and pedals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they do consider it a motorcycle.
Yep.
So, you know, I have to eat that one. I've talked trash about it for years. So, but no, so I really expect that one to go because I think, what's the other three-wheeler? The Riker and the Spider that they have?
Spider, yeah.
So
Can-Am.
The Can-Am, yeah. I see the Can-Am sticking around more because that's still motorcycle. That's still a saddle and handlebars, okay? I can get the same feeling as a slingshot driving a Miata.
Right. It's true. I've always thought that about those things. I've always wondered, I'm like, you're somewhere in a weird gray area of like either get on a bike or, you know, and I get it, or a trike if you're not physically
and it's
able.
Still questionable.
Yeah.
Do you have to wear a helmet?
Right. We went through that around here. There was a lot of questions on that stuff.
Do.
Yeah, technically here.
Because technically it's a motorcycle or a helmet law state.
Yep.
And it's technically a motorcycle.
Correct.
So yeah.
Got handlebars.
Oh, I've even yelled at guys when I'm standing on street corners, you know, in an inebriated state. But
That happens.
Try to call them out because I'm a Mr. Tough guy standing on a street corner, right? But no, it's back to the question. I think Indian's going to stick around, and we'll get into it more here in the episodes.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting point you bring up. It is true. I've talked about it in the past. Big companies like Polaris, a lot of big companies will have a product that they know they're going to eat for multiple years financially, that it's not going to bring profit, but the rest of the company can sustain it until they can get to a point where it's profiting. And that is something that Polaris has as far as capital. I assume, to be able to do something like that so they can maybe stick out a little longer or take some risks. Future will tell, but it was an interesting conversation. I love bringing the comments in, so thank you very much. So let's dive into this. Let's dive into the Indian. So what do you have? What do you have exactly right now, so the audience knows?
Well, right now I have the Indian Challenger, so just a basic one.
2020.
It's a 2022.
Okay,
but it's pretty much the same one like Squirt has.
Okay.
And then this August, we recently upgraded Stacy from, excuse me, an Indian Scout Bobber.
Scout Bobber 20.
Scout Bobber 20.
So it's a cool looking bike. I love that bike.
So it had the bigger
It's sexy.
engine and it had the 6-speed on it. Now she has the Dark Horse, the Chieftain Dark Horse, but
Equally
she
as
got
sexy.
that as Sturgis. So if you're looking for a unique bike, if you buy it at Sturgis, it has special badging that you can only
It
get
does
there.
have special badging, which makes it unique, which was why we purchased it at Sturgis rather than going back home to Fredericksburg and purchasing it at our local Indian dealership.
Very cool. Good to know. So let's talk about those bikes a little bit. So you're running the Thunderstroke on the Challenger.
Stacy is.
I have,
you're the-
I have the 116
The 116
over here. I got the bigger engine.
So the air-cooled
Yeah,
Thunderstroke.
some of us don't need a bigger engine.
And what are you running on the Challenger? Remind me.
The challenge, just like your Pursuit
Yeah, it is.
out
It's
there,
the same motor. The
It's
108.
the 108.
108.
Yep.
Baby engine.
I just wanted to make sure that I was correct on that before we get talking about. So the water-cooled 108. So the same one that is on the Pursuit out there. Okay, good. So let's dive in a little bit and let's talk about. So you saw my review video
Yeah.
on the Indian Pursuit.
Enjoyed it very much.
Very cool. Well, thank you. And I see you make some copious notes here, which is really cool. Why don't we go down? And obviously I did a Challenger. That video got a ton of views. I actually borrowed that bike from Squirt.
You changed his bars and kept it for a couple
That's right.
days.
Yeah, good memory. We did.
Well, the only reason we kept it for a couple of days is I screwed up and damaged one of his controls. His handlebar controls, stuck a pick through the computer ribbon, messed it up. So we had to order one, and so quite often these tragedies that we think at the time in the shop turn out to be beneficial in the long run. So
nice
we
blessing.
So we had the bike for a couple of weeks waiting for that part to come in, and we were able to do some.
I still
more
already have
riding
my
reviews
review
on it.
done. No, I already had the review done. We put bars on it after. So my
Hey, don't ruin it. Don't let the facts
sorry,
get in the way of your story.
I'm just saying.
Don't let
we
the
still had
facts
it for
get
a
in the
little
way of a good
longer, but I
story.
couldn't ride it because you broke it. Anyways, we're going to talk a little bit. So I have ridden both. I've ridden the Thunderstroke air cooled, and I've ridden the new 108. So I have experience with both of those and some comments about that. Why don't you dive in and tell me? Let's just do and you can. I guess we can jump in on the Scout too, but let's stick to the Challenger right now.
Okay.
For that purpose with that kind of bike and motor, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the other and kind of give me your thoughts and overviews, and I'll bring up some points and we'll have discussions.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, more it's not. So I reached out to you because I wasn't disagreeing with you. Okay. You did, as always, a phenomenal review. There were just some things that I thought you were a little off the mark on.
Okay.
Okay. So, looking at the show notes, like first off, you talk about the Ride Commander. I have the basic one like Squirt. It does not come with a Ride Commander, but I've played with the Ride Commander.
Are you talking about, hang on. So let me back up so the audience and make sure I'm understanding. So the Ride Command system, you're talking about the built-in infotainment system.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you started off, your review of the Pursuit talking about that. I have played with it on Stacy's Dark Horse because the Dark Horse comes
You don't
with
have
it.
that?
No, because I just got the basic.
Okay,
because
thank you.
honestly, because I was riding an 06 Street Glide that compared to modern bikes just doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah.
I was happy to have cruise control the radio when I got that thing.
I know that.
I remember that first long trip that I took to Sturgis on it with just a radio and a CD player. When you're going 2 hours listening to the same CD, it gets real old.
Yeah, yeah. No doubt.
So upgrading to, something where I can plug in an MP3 player or, my iPhone or something, much, much better.
I forgot you could get it without. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
So I got the basic one just like Squirt did, because it was like, I don't have that now. Even when they tried to sell me the GPS unit for another $500, it was like, you know how I navigate now? My phone and my wonderful, law-abiding biker gripper that I've got on the bike.
Yeah, buddy.
So, it's like, I don't need this $500 system when my phone's doing it for me anyway.
Yep.
Excuse me a second.
No,
My
which
brain
is
goes blank
interesting
sometimes, so,
point, which I've always said is, honestly, we've talked about it in the past. I'm tired of auto manufacturers. I'm tired of motorcycle companies. They're hardware companies. They build hardware. Stop trying to be software companies. They all suck. I don't care whether it's Ford, whether it's Chevy, whether it's Dodge. It doesn't matter. All their infotainment systems are clunky. They suck. They're horribly developed. They're not user-friendly. They've got massive menus you got to dive into. They lock up. They freeze. They're all the same. And so all I care about anymore, and you're right, is the smartphone. But what I do want is Apple CarPlay. I just want my phone to be able to project onto the screen because it's so flawless. And so that's all I ask auto manufacturers to do from here on out is just make Apple CarPlay work. If you're Android, fine. I think they killed Android Auto, the mobile version, because we learned that. But if they, whatever Android side, if they bring that back, just something to project our smartphones, which are already more capable than any of those systems, just let us do that. So and do it good. Just at least do that good.
I agree. I just wish the companies like, Google Maps, Apple, Waze, those three primary ones that we like to use so much, put a motorcycle mode on it. You can tell me I can tell it, avoid highways, avoid tolls and everything.
Oh, I see. Filter it.
How about hey, I'm doing a motorcycle ride. Take me down good motorcycle roads.
You can do that with Rever and it projects onto your screen.
But Rever has its problems too.
Yeah.
All these motorcycle ones that are being built, they've got their problems. So I've played with the Ride Commander and had exactly the same issues you pointed out, playing with it on Stacy's bike. But as far as like the CarPlay, that's another thing on the Indian. They'll tell you at the dealership, like, oh, you've got to buy the GPS unit to get CarPlay to work. Wrong.
Oh my God. Why would you need that? That doesn't even make any sense.
Need that at all.
No, if it's feeding from my phone, that doesn't make sense, but they'll tell you that at the dealership. Okay.
That's just hilarious.
You go on the forums.
Do you think they're doing that maliciously or uneducated? Because dealers do that too. And I've had to educate them on some things. And they literally, when I found out they weren't doing it maliciously, they literally don't know. So which is it?
I think it's more they don't know, and they know that, okay, it definitely does work if you put the GPS receiver in there, but it is not necessary. All I've done to mine is I did the radio update, the software update. Mm-hmm. And then, yes, you've got to have the phone plugged into
Is this on
system.
her bike? Because you don't have
No, this is on my bike. This is on my bike without the ride command, without the GPS unit. Okay. I did the software update to my radio.
Just the radio. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
And then as long as I got my Senna headset there, I'll sometimes even wear my half helmet and just throw the Senna in the pouch.
Yep.
Okay. Because it won't go to CarPlay unless you have a Bluetooth headset.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I know. Harley does the same thing.
Just tell me not to allow phone calls when I don't have a headset.
I think the way they do it, I don't think, and I've done some research on this, so it's an interesting point that you bring up. It's not that Indian is doing that or Harley is doing that. That's a requirement of Apple CarPlay. The reason is Apple wants a experience, and part of that experience is Siri and voice commands. And so they won't allow it, whatever attorneys and lawsuits, I don't understand it all, but they won't allow the CarPlay. So they make you have a headset so that you can use voice commands. So that's not the good thing. The manufacturers.
The good thing for anyone that doesn't want to spend the money like you and I have for a Senna or a Cardo or something, you can just go buy a cheap one off Amazon, a cheap Bluetooth headset. Who cares if it really works? You'll get your CarPlay from it then.
Right.
Okay.
Have you tested that? Because here's why I asked that. Harley, you have to have and I will tell you this, and then I'll tell you what my experience with the Indian was. Harley, to get that to work, you've got to have the Harley branded headset, if I remember right. You got to do that to get stereo sound. You can get CarPlay to work, but you're not going to have all your headset functionality. But not all headsets. It can be a Sena regular. You'll at least get a CarPlay to activate, but you won't get some other functions within the system. I did pair a regular Sena with the Ride Command, and it does do Apple CarPlay. So I don't know if it's all headsets, but at least some generic ones may work, or different brands is the way I understand it.
I would have to test it out more.
Okay.
I mean, we've got the S30.
So the Sena works. So we know that. Okay,
so
good.
Sena works.
Probably your major brands, I would imagine, would
Your
at least
Cardo should
activate
work
it.
and everything. But I've seen online where guys just use like whatever Amazon, weird name company,
Zazuikyu.
Yeah.
Zazuikyu, two-person bike-to-bike
just-
transmitter, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth device, 2.8 gigahertz. You know how they list it so they get all this SEO?
The company name is just out of the Scrabble bag,
They just connect them
It
and
changes daily.
they just connect them and then they throw them in their saddlebag just so that there's a headset connected.
That's it. That's awesome.
That's it. So it's basically like the little jumper that we've shown.
Right.
Past.
We did do a little jumper test of those little jumpers.
It's just there to say that there is a wireless headset
Right.
connected. It's a $20 piece of shit. They're not using it.
I got you. Yeah,
They
it makes
just
sense.
simply connect it and then throw it in a saddlebag so the bike
So they can
knows
see
it.
their maps and they can
Yes.
see their
Absolutely.
phone calls and whatever else.
I even saw someone who did a YouTube video with one like that, but he got the splitter from the USB port. So he's charging his Bluetooth headset at the same time as having his phone hooked in.
Nice.
So it all works nicely and everything.
So the splitter work, that's interesting because I know some other splitters.
But you know about the quality of the splitters
right.
too.
Correct.
My buddy on his CVO has had issues and had to go get an Apple OEM cord because if he didn't use an OEM cord and he hit a bump, for some reason the cord would lose connection.
Yeah, I found that with the Indian too. I had to use an Apple OEM USB-C on my iPhone 15 Pro Max to get it to, and it still won't always, but definitely the other cable I was using, it just didn't like it.
Yep.
It was an aftermarket, so it's same on the Harley, same boombox. We just had a email from a guy and we told him that. He's like, are you using an OEM? Nope. He went and got an OEM and it started working.
I don't know how they do that, but
I don't either. And it doesn't make sense. It's kind of annoying. So, and even the Harley, speaking of that, Apple CarPlay, mine still, I have the new Boombox GTS and it doesn't connect to Apple CarPlay sometimes. And then just like the Indian Ride Command, same thing. I got to delete my headset, repair it, and then boot everything back up, and then it recognizes my Apple CarPlay. But it's like 50-50, and it's just freaking annoying. And even with the OEM cable.
You can go old school, like patron member Charles Wilburn.
Is he in chat?
He's got a iPod connected to his Bluetooth earpiece. And it works perfectly.
Well, Chuck,
Nice,
don't you also ride a Road King, Chuck? If I remember right?
Yeah.
Or are you on a Softail? You've got the old classic look going, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Charles is hardcore, dude.
Yes,
he is.
Right there. He's all about functionality right there. All right. So let's dive in a little bit more on these bikes. And I like it because the conversation is kind of going wherever it wants. And you get a shot at this one. You effed up the other one.
Hey, Bikeaholics, searching for the new and exciting motorcycle products. 03D has products you dream about for your bike. Check out their wide variety of innovative products for Harley-Davidson and Honda Goldwing motorcycles. 03D's got your back with chrome and black parts, lighting, and other comfort products. No modifying, cutting, grinding, or welding for an easy installation that equals less time installing and more time riding. 03D has a design team with over 40 years of experience with a passion for design innovation. Zero and Gold Strike are the motorcycle LED lighting innovators for CAN bus plug-and-play system compatibility. They pride themselves on great customer service. Got a question? Get in touch with them via email at sales@03d.com or give them a call at 715-808-0027. Check at your local Harley or Honda dealership and ask for Zero or Gold Strike parts. A new leader has emerged, so check out 03D's custom line of Gold Strike products for the all-new Honda Goldwings. Better yet, help support us and head on over to the Law Abiding Biker store and check out our full line of 03D products.
All right, so let's dive in even further.
The music ran out before
it's
I got there.
Amazing, bro.
It actually ran out.
No, it didn't. You just didn't hear it because you had your headphones turned down. It was just fading out.
Oh, okay.
That's what happens when you have me turn your headphones down.
Huh?
See? Exactly, dude. Exactly. I tell you guys, quit turning them down. All right. Moving forward, where do you want to go next? So we've talked about the system, and we may revisit some of that just to clean that up a little bit. I'm just going to tell you guys. So here, and I know you. So, and maybe you can, I don't know how, you didn't use the boombox system a lot because you didn't have one with the boombox. So we can talk a little bit about the Ride Command. And I said this up front, guys. If you guys, we get a lot of, if I get a comment and we have on the YouTube video that the Ride Command is a perfect unit. I remember when it came out, everybody, because the boombox was having so many problems, I had high hopes for it. Here's what I'm spending a lot of time with both of them. And I mean, that's what I do. So I spend a lot of time. So what I'll say is neck to neck, the Harley original boombox system, the 6.5 regular and the Ride Command system that I have on this bike are both as good as paperweights. They're horrible systems. And I said that auto manufacturers, I'm dogging both of them. Now Harley came out with the new GTS system, 19 and newer, and you can retrofit. We have free videos on how to retrofit for that. I did do that on my bike. It's a much better system.
Somebody really wants to talk to you.
Can you take that real quick?
Yeah, I can.
It's my oldest daughter.
Okay.
I want to make sure it's not something emergency. Tell her we're live podcasting. And what I'll say about that is
Hey, it's Matt.
the new you're on the mic. You might want to step away. Hold on a second. This is a live event.
She doesn't get the notices when you're doing these shows, does
I
she?
forgot to tell her. And she's in town. She's here from college. I hope it's not an emergency. But so what I'll say is the new GTS unit definitely was next level. Still has issues. I've already admitted it, but it is not a paperweight. At least it's very functional. And I'd say 90% of the time it connects to Apple CarPlay, which is mostly what I use. So interestingly, Ride Planner is kind of down right now. The online software for Harley, it's the worst it's ever been. And in fact, I used Rever to make our East Coast trip just because it's unusable at this time. But aside from that, the GTS is a much better unit, connects most of the time. They fixed a lot of the bugs. But I am just telling you that I had what's up? In no emergency? No. Okay. All right. So, for her to, what's she getting out? Oh, Preston's
Sorry,
car.
I blocked her in.
Yeah, no, that's all right. No biggie. I didn't know they were going to be back. But as far as the Ride Command system, I compare it to the Harley. I actually had higher expectations. It actually had more bugs off the bat than I was expecting. It's old. They haven't updated. Harley updated. I think it's time, my opinion, Indian really needs to think about quashing that unit and getting an updated version. I think it gets them a lot of bad publicity, as Harley got a shitload of bad publicity from me too about the original boombox, but they made an effort to update that system, and it does have a lot of fixes. So that's my hope, is Indian is thinking it's met its lifespan. It's not good, and it's not going to get any better with software updates. It's done.
So I'd like to, talk Indian up right there. I can't. Okay.
Car manufacturers too. It's all of them.
I agree.
No, if you've got a Harley-Davidson, you've got options. I want different speakers. I want a different head unit. You've got options.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My older 06, I could throw any car radio in there. Okay. I could throw any, preferably marine grade, so it handles the rain and everything. Throw any speakers into that as long as they fit. Okay,
right.
Maybe even get an adapter and then they'll fit. You can't do that with Indian. I've only found one company that has made a successful stereo and speaker system that'll go into an Indian. They have the amps attached directly to the speakers. So I wanted to upgrade my speakers, and that's when I learned that it's you can't just throw any speakers in an Indian. You have got to get Indian speakers or you're going to pay $1,500 or more for a system. There's only one or two independent audio companies that have managed to make a system that'll go into the Indian. So that is actually a downside to the Indian. If you are an audiophile and you like to use, JBLs or whatever speakers, that's not an option. But the speakers that Indian does make are good. I like them. But then again, I'm, years of military service, my hearing's a little off anyway.
Yeah,
so,
right.
It's just noise when I go down the road. Yeah, it's just noise when I go down the road. So that is a negative for Indian.
Well, I think that's true of pretty much all aftermarket parts. There's a lot less market for Indian so far because they haven't caught up to Harley in terms of aftermarket parts. So if you want to specialize and customize your Harley, that's a lot easier to do than it is to do with Indian in the current market.
Right. But one of the positives that I found, like I was saying earlier, and nobody likes a stock Harley-Davidson, Indian worked a lot harder, did a lot more market research, and they're trying to make that stock Indian more to your liking just as is.
More rideable.
Yes.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I liked about it, and we'll get into that more later, ultimately why I made the switch. Right. But yeah, there's obviously, because it's still a smaller market, and it hasn't been around as long, there's not as much aftermarket stuff for it. You mentioned that in your video and stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times as a result, the aftermarket products there are a little more costly than, Harley. I can go on Amazon and find some really cheap aftermarket parts for a Harley, but they're just that. They're cheap aftermarket parts.
Right. Yeah.
Indian, you're limited, and they're going to be more of that, HD high dollar price, but they're still going to be quality.
Right.
One of the things I've done to my bike is I did the catalytic converter delete because we are in a state that doesn't do emissions testing. Right. So I used the Tab Performance.
Hey,
you're going to maybe get up again?
Yep. Dick. Need a beer. Sorry.
You sat down too.
I was so in
first.
I was so in the conversation. Then I realized, I was going to tell you before you sat down. Sorry, bro. Thanks. You're a good employee.
Really checked on that first. I mean, come on.
I'm good.
Refresh if you need to, audience. We got a lot more to talk about. This is a great conversation. I love the insight from other people. So, yeah.
It's
less aftermarket parts.
Fewer aftermarket parts, but at the same time, I don't need as many aftermarket parts on my Indian, I feel.
Do you? Do you need more on a Harley? What do you actually need? That's what I was getting to. Like, I rode my Harley stock for a while. I guess it's what do you really need? Because I can ride my bike Harley stock from here to the East Coast. I want a more comfortable seat. I rode stock suspension thousands of miles cross country, stock Harley suspension, which is crap. So I guess I get that, but I don't know that thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well served.
That was well served.
Where was the towel draped over your arm?
No doubt, dude. I'll get you one of those. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I gotta refresh. So I get it. And that can be a little bit, it's a good conversation. I don't know. I feel like getting on the Pursuit, I'm looking at it. I love riding it. I've had a blast. Let me just say, we're doing some of the cons on both. And then I think we'll end it on a positive note.
Yeah.
It could kind of stay, but I don't know to me personally, I don't know what the Indian Pursuit has more stock than the Harley. And it depends on what packages you get too. So we have to be careful with that. So that Indian doesn't come. That has the premium package. That's extra bones right there. So I'm just talking about, and so that comes with I think it's really cool. Something that I've dogged Harley on for a while now is electronic adjustable suspension. Yes. Thank God Indian's doing that. It's not even an option with Harley right now, but you pay for that on an Indian. So you know what I mean? So if we're talking stock Pursuit and a stock, I guess I'm not seeing on the Indian what it has that is so much more ready than a Harley. That's just my...
So the Pursuit, so the Pursuit you've got out here, an even price point, I would put that more up with the CVO.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I compare it to. I compare it to the new 2023
and mine
CVO.
I would put up against a Road Glide.
Okay. All right.
So there is a little bit of difference because that Pursuit, they threw every bell and whistle they have at that bike.
Right.
That's fair. Lower fairings. I don't have lower fairings.
Right.
You know what lower fairings have done for me? Nothing. My feet still got cold. My legs still got wet. It didn't matter if I had lower fairings, So that's not something I want, Oh, but there's little pockets in it. I got saddlebags. How much stuff am I trying to carry on a bike? Certain things that for me, this is not saying for everybody, but for me, it's just, I didn't need them. Okay. I've got a nice touring bag that I can put on the bike if I want to go on longer trips. Just like when Russell and I, went to, meet you guys in Sturgis. I mean, we had the bikes loaded down. Mm-hmm. Him on his Road King, me on my Street Glide. I was able to do it on that, no problem. So I don't need all of that.
Right.
I just, I got a bike that was great for me. Okay. But, there are bells and whistles that come on the stock bike that I really like. You disagree on some of them, and that's cool. That's why we, you created this forum so we can talk about this stuff. Like one of the big ones that I love about the bike, and other guys that I know that have gone and gotten Indians really love, is that we have an adjustable windshield.
Yeah, some guys love that.
Yeah.
You're either in or you're out on that.
Hey, there have been
I've talked to both.
So I've got my standard riding height that I really like. But yes, there are times when it's like, man, this is a hot summer day. I could really use a little more air, and I can drop it down. And there have been other times where I'm behind a truck that hasn't secured his load very well, and I got gravel coming at me and everything. It's like, I got to get past this guy. Mm-hmm. But I got to put the windshield up, so I got a little protection getting past that guy. So I found it handy, in both situations. But the one thing, and it's like, unless I put the bikes in a wind tunnel, I don't know how I'm really going to test this. So like, even on my Street Glide, coming back from Ohio in 2020 from the non-sanctioned ride, we got dumped on. I mean, it was so bad, it was choking out my bike, and I had to put my leg over the air intake. That's how bad it was raining on me and Russell. And he had Sherry on the back of his bike with him. So it was really nasty, and we actually had to pull over for that. But at that time, it was like, I would have liked maybe a taller windshield. Now that I've got a taller windshield, Stacy and I have been stuck. We were coming home from my parents' house with the kids on both of our bikes, and 2 miles from the house, that's when it just opened up. I mean, it just dumped it. We're doing 25 miles an hour and just getting dumped on. It didn't matter how much windshield I had or if there was a vent hole in the windshield or not. It made no difference.
Yeah.
So unless I had like a wind tunnel to sit in and actually test, does that vent hole make it worse or make it better? I really can't say. I've ridden with both. I've ridden with a Tombstone in the rain.
Yeah.
I can't really say, when it's raining that bad, I don't think it matters.
I don't think anything's going to save you.
No.
No, and I'm totally for the guys that like the roll up windshield. I think it's a very subjective thing. I was just trying to find objective reasons for it. You gave some that you like personally as a writer, and I love that. I love that different take on it. I just found with it, and I said it in my review. I want to like it. I think it's cool. Honestly, the whole time I've been riding the bike, I haven't touched it. I touched it when we first initially touched it because I don't know, it's set to my height. So the one thing I did find, and maybe you can explain this, maybe you can't. I was like, okay, this is cool. So I went out with an open mind on it. I'm like, I'm going to use it. I'm going to try different heights. It was hot. And then we rode in some cold. We rode dark. And the problem was, so I'm coming down the canyon. We're on our way back. And if you haven't come down the canyon at bug 30, it like rains bugs. You think it's raining. And so I'm like, finally, this is the reason. This is the reason. So I roll it up. There's a big effing hole. They put a big effing hole in the windshield. So now I'm down. The windshield's up. Bugs are hitting me smack because they're coming through the hole, up the wind tunnel, and right in my face. So that's one of my, I get the windshield, but why Indian? That's just my opinion. Again, I feel like that's an engineering, that needs to be revisited. If you're going to have the windshield go up to protect you, then don't put a gaping hole in it. There's two ways to think about that. That's head buffeting. So in normal weather, that's a good idea because Harley does it with the vents. We're trying to minimize head buffeting and we're trying to pop air over. That becomes an issue when it's raining or it's bug 30 because now screw the head buffeting. I'm getting bugs directly in my face. So I lowered it back down and I was getting more bug protection than with it up. It was still high enough to pop it over my head.
About halfway.
Yeah, about halfway.
Yeah.
So I get
rid of the vent, but still gives you.
So I'm sorry. Don't kill me. I know that's one of the. It's probably more than Indian or Hardy
for the head buffeting.
There's some guys that swear by that
because you can open the vents up in the fairing.
Yes.
do I really need the vent then in the windshield?
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
wouldn't that equalize
correct.
the pressure?
I think if they do another model, that's my take. It's a good idea for the guys that want it. If I had it, cool. It's not a big deal to me one way or the other. It's just not something that I would go, I'm not buying that bike because it doesn't have an adjustable windshield. That's just me. But if they would just get rid of that hole, like you say, use the vents. You've got the vents and they did a good job with that, the head buffeting, but get rid of the hole in the windshield because now you've like minimized it 50% for what you're trying. The purpose is what you just said for up and down. So anyways, I appreciate your input. And I would tell you, there are some staunch guys that get mad at me when I talk about the adjustable windshield because they are all in on it.
Even moving on to vents. Because that's in the show notes too.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So I don't have the lower fairing vents. So I don't have to deal with that struggle. Okay. But the vents in the fairing, I wish there was a safer way that while I'm riding, I could access those vents and open and close those vents because it's almost, no, it's not almost. It is a hazard for you to play with those while you're riding.
Yep.
That is something that you should do when you're stopped. Okay.
Agreed.
And just like you were saying, in the video of the Pursuit, is like, it is a little squirrely trying to open and close those vents on the lower fairings, while you're riding. So, and I know on the Harleys, when you had the lower fairings, opening and closing those, it was real easy.
Yeah, it's a big tab and it's really easy.
So if they could work something like that in for those vents, I think that would be great. But I do like having those vents in my fairing. So when it's hot, it allows the air through. And when it's cold, I can close those off. Now, how much cold weather riding have you been doing on this Pursuit?
A lot. And so I came up with some new things. I wear a full face. Shoey. Yep.
Yeah. See, this bearded Yeti in front of you. Yeah, I'll still wear the half helmet sometimes, maybe a neck gaiter.
Yes.
Okay. And I've got some great neck gaiters. But that's when that windshield and everything that comes in a little more handy because it's keeping the wind from hitting me directly.
Right.
So that's
But if you bought the proper windshield, wouldn't it not keep the wind just going over you like it's supposed to the height that you adjust it?
But it does now.
Okay.
I just closed the vents in the fairing, raise the windshield up, and the air's still over me. Now, if I drop it down, then I'm getting blasted in the face, and it doesn't matter how long my beard is.
And you're in a half helmet, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. It's going to be dependent on how you ride. And I have found in the cold weather, I was not prepared for it. And we've talked about it a little bit. It's because of that bike. So I can ride my Street Glide. So there's a fairing difference too. So what would be fair about it? I was not expecting, I went out in just above freezing and we were meeting and I rode for the first time on it in really cold weather and I about lost my hands. That bike is horrid in cold weather, and the way the stock bars are, it has zero protection and it will freeze your fingers. On my Street Glide, I can ride in that same weather with very thin gloves, but they're also behind a batwing fairing. The Road Glide is similar, so we want to be fair. It's just something I noted with the Pursuit. So when I ride the Pursuit in this cold weather, I literally have to put on my snowboard gloves or you will lose your fingers. And I don't have to do that on my Street Glide. So it's another reason I personally don't like the shark noses. That's just me for that because I get it, but I run stock bars too. And then guys put on taller bars. Well, now they're up behind the batwing. So there's a whole bunch to that, but it is one thing in cold weather. Other than that, the heated grips are awesome. They do really good. Those things can get hot. Same with the hard deck. I never can turn either up all the way. That bike also, because it's the premium package, has the built-in stock heated seat. I guess it's not stock because it's a premium package, but it kind of is.
Yeah, that's a $1,200 seat right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what pisses me?
It's also cooled, isn't it?
And what's that?
It's cooled too.
No.
I don't think that one is.
No,
Okay, because so that's probably the $900 seat then.
Okay.
They've got a $1,200 seat that's heated and cooled.
Nice.
So it's like, man, I can think of some summer days I could have used that.
No doubt.
When I didn't have the ball fresh.
I'll just go with dude wipes and fresh balls, bro. It's a lot cheaper.
It is a lot cheaper, yeah.
Just saying.
So
I will say one annoyance of the Pursuit that I wish they could fix: the heated grips stay on. So when I ride and we have a meeting and then we're riding around, I get back on the bike, the heated grips stay where they are. Every damn time the heated seat goes off. So you have to go back in every time you turn the bike off and you have to readjust to turn the heated seat back on. Little
turn the
flaws like
seat
that.
back on.
Harley's had weird little things like that too. Just again, longer term, you have it, you start noticing those little things like, why every time do I have to turn this heated seat back and set the level and all that?
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
You know?
I know.
I get in my RAM that I have. And
Some sort of software thing.
If it's below 40 degrees, my RAM automatically turns on the seat and the steering wheel for me.
My Tahoe doesn't though, so.
Oh, it doesn't.
My Tahoe, you have to automatically.
Well, Chevy
turn them
needs to
on.
up their game then.
Yeah, some of the older cars, I don't know what year it is, but they came out, and then some do that. My wife's doesn't, but mine does turn on the seats. It's a little bit newer, but yeah, I think this is just a software thing. They could clearly change software so it would tell the computer, hey, leave it to the levels last used, or whatever. But just another little thing I noticed. But the heated seat's great. The heated grips, other than the handlebars, just not at stock bars premium position for me. I do not like riding in snowboard gloves. Just clutch feel and brake feel. Yeah.
Right. If I can make a recommendation for you then, okay. So, military, law enforcement, we, both in a gun club and everything. Okay. There's a company called Victos.
Yeah.
Okay. They have these cold weather Leo, they call them their Leo gloves. So you'll still be able to shoot if you need to. But the back is nice, and I use them on my bike.
Okay.
So the palm, I still have my palm against the heated grip.
Okay.
So I still have the dexterity and everything I need there, but the back has enough coverage that my hand's not getting cold behind that Sharknado style fairing. So
I like it.
That's something you can look into.
I'll have to look into that. Yeah. For that bike, for sure. Without with the protection of the back. I mean, that's a good idea.
Well, even on duty, I think those would be good gloves for you. So yeah,
that's a good note. Appreciate that. So those are some of the things. Let's do this real quick, and then we will. We got quite a bit more to talk about. I appreciate everybody sticking with us, and hopefully this is a good conversation. I see a lot of chat going on. If you see anything, Lurch, make sure you bring it up that steers the conversation or anything like that. Do you want to do this, Lurch?
Absolutely. Ride longer and treat your ass with some respect already.
Oh, my ass.
Get hooked up with a premium butt buffer seat cushion. This company of bikers developed a super thin hospital grade seat cushion made of solid and elastic materials. And it's unlike gel pads that'll leak if punctured. That's right. The butt buffer is designed not to slide around your seat, fits all motorcycles, installs in seconds, easily cleans it. Yep. Helping dampen those darn vibrations.
I like vibrations on my ass, Lurch.
With plenty of miles to choose from, they assure you'll have a comfortable ass when riding. Head on over to Law Abiding Biker Store and check out our full line of butt buffer seat cushions.
You did really good, son.
I
usually get him to crack. You did crack a side smile at one point, though.
You didn't say
I know
anus.
Stacy was like, what a psycho. She was looking at me like,
I will say, I don't think I would have survived that when Russell and I did the iron butt together without my butt buffer.
It just takes that little bit of pressure off. Is your butt still sore after 1,000 miles? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But
I think
painful.
his butt's still sore.
Yeah, it's not. It does take the pressure points is the biggest thing,
Exactly.
right? Those pressure points. Yeah, I would not leave home without it, except the one trip I did.
Ew.
I regretted it,
Yeah.
and I will never do that again. All right, let's keep going on down the list. Thanks, and if there is anything in the chat, I see you guys just chatting away. I love it. I love these live events, and this one is public. Like I said, if you got in late, these are normally just for our mid-level and above paid patron members. We do this all year long, but once in a while, we like to give you a little peek behind the curtains and see what goes on. So that's what we're doing today. So there's a lot of new names in there. All right.
We got a little tip from Charles Wilburn, patron member Charles.
Oh, did he
Wilburn.
give a super chat?
No, I said he gave a tip
A tip.
as in something as information.
Just the tip.
Oh,
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
oh, nice.
He's talking about lowers and whether you want soft lowers, hard lowers, or whatever. But here's what Charles uses. I use bread bags over the boots and lower legs during grasshopper season. Long rider tip for you.
Nice, dude. Leave it to Charles, bro. So
Fortunately, in Virginia, we don't have grasshopper season, so I don't have to worry about that.
yeah, we're going to have to bring those to the Law Abiding Biker store. We'll start saving our bread bags, and we will brand them Law Abiding Biker Grasshopper boot bags. How about that? Thanks, Charles. Always got good input, and he's a real deal. If you guys don't know Charles, that guy puts on freaking miles.
My gosh, the machine.
Yeah, great guy. Great guy from
Him and
Minot.
Mark Arnold.
Yeah, Mark's the machine.
Minot. I always say Minot. Minot. He's told me before. Minot.
Yeah, but both of those guys laid
Dakota.
out miles.
They do. All right, so let's. Yeah,
Rick
go ahead.
gave him the nickname Dakota.
Who gave him that?
Rick
Dakota.
Excuse me. That's right. And Popeye said Mark is the machine.
That's
okay.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Just clearing that up.
Dakota. Very nice. All right. So let's move forward and we'll see where the conversation goes here. Anthony, what else do you want to talk about?
Oh gosh, you moved it on me.
Oh, sorry. Do you need to go up? Just tell me. Scroll up. That's what we do here.
Yeah. Down.
We talked about CarPlay, adjustable windshield.
Okay.
We're done with that.
So the dummy light, yes.
Still on.
The little caution light. Yeah, that thing, you turn the bike off with the wrong sequence or something. It comes on. Or
So does your bike have it on?
It's on
Get
and
a little
off.
closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
It's on and off, really. I mean, it is just a touchy, fickle thing. And I think, as I've done more miles, the computer just kind of learns as oh, yeah, that's not a reason to come on. So
Right. And what we're talking about for the audience is a dummy light on the dash. And I noticed it right away in my Pursuit review. And I haven't contacted the third-party marketing company, but they just said, and they didn't really know about it. They're a third-party, obviously, marketing company.
Yeah, they didn't design it.
So we did our own research, and it has to do with a chassis default, and it's in all the forums. It's been going on with Indians for years, and I wasn't aware of it. I just became aware because there's this freaking orange light in the dash, and it can be caused by, electrical not working right or signals. We checked everything. It can also be, which is really weird. Again, have no doubt Harley has had weird shit like this. So I'm not dogging Indian on this. It's just a fact. It is a very well-known issue. You can get it turned off at the dealer and it will come back on. And a lot of times it's when you put your kickstand down when you're in gear and it's supposed to kill the bike. Well, that's normal. Harley does that too, but it throws that code and then that light's on all the time. It went off one day. It's been on the entire time. Now I got a new light on, which is a red key. Even though I have the key fob and the battery's changed, I changed it. It didn't help. And it's not on all the time. It just decides some days that it wants to be on, even though the key's with the bike. And then the other time, when it all started, we were working at the store and I had to run to Best Buy for something. And I left the key at the store. I started the bike at store because the key was close, right? And I left it there. And so when I got to Best Buy, couldn't start the bike because the key fob's not with it, right? So, hey, Lurch, I left the key fob, blah, blah, blah. He brings it so I can get the bike started. And from that time on, it's a red key and it's been on and off and it's on today.
Interesting.
So,
I had mine recently come on and it was just, replaced the battery in the key
That's
fob
what I thought.
and it went away. So
yeah.
that's odd.
So anyways, not saying that's on all Indians and clearly you haven't had that issue.
It's a touchy light, I remember one time I was listening to the radio without having the bike actually on, and
I heard that too. Yeah.
It'll turn itself off before the battery gets too low.
Right.
But then when I did start it, I had that dummy light. It was unhappy until, doing, an hour-long ride and charging that battery back up. Then it, when I restarted the bike the next time, it was fine. So, it'll come on for a number of, touchy little things.
Right.
Just to kind of make you aware, hey, you did something wrong, so.
Which is interesting because putting a kickstand on a killer bike should not be wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's clearly something they could fix in software, I would think.
Exactly. I don't think it's that huge a deal. I mean,
Hardy's had weird shit like that too. It's just fix that because I put my kickstand all the time in gear and it kills the bike. That's what it's supposed to do. That you shouldn't tell me I'm wrong. Not you, but the bike shouldn't tell me that, hey, you did.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Do you have that problem on your Scout at all with this light or have they?
So I have the Chieftain now.
Chieftain. Sorry. Yeah.
Come on now.
Sorry.
Just kidding.
I even got it in my notes.
Pay attention.
I haven't had any issues with my key thing coming on or.
How about this other orange chassis?
I don't get any of the lights.
Good. Thank God.
None of the
She's
lights.
only had the bike for a short time because
That's true.
we bought it at Sturgis.
August 3rd.
Yeah.
But
According to Facebook.
Yep.
Oh, thanks,
Nice.
Facebook.
Stalker.
Our load plan for
I
going.
sent you a link if
Our
you wanna
load
pull it
plan
up.
for going to and from Sturgis was based on her having the smaller Scout. So once she bought a bigger bike, we did not have room for that.
Yeah, I did
to go
Sturgis
home.
on the Scout, but we bought the Chieftain there and had to leave it. I rode it for
Had it
a day.
delivered home.
And then had it delivered home.
Okay.
Yep. So she's only had we got it October. We finally got the bike delivered.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So she's only had a couple months of
It'll be
actually
interesting to
getting
see.
ride it. So yeah, we'll
It doesn't make the bike run bad. I still ride it. It doesn't do anything. It's just a light on. And I know some people have been frustrated in the forums, some
but when
Indian
you
owners.
spend that much for a piece of machine, I don't want little quirky stuff
Right.
like
And they
that.
take it to the dealer and the dealer gives them different information. And some of them say, it'll go off on its own. And, there's just a lot of that weird, same Harley
But
has
I've seen
this
it
weird
even with
shit.
cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just a little nuance. So that's not that big a deal. Doesn't hurt the bike.
Then, like one of the other things, I've got lots of miles on my bike. Maybe I'm doing more highway miles than other guys. Maybe they're doing more bar hopping or something. But like you quoted, looking up and people saying, 37 to 40 miles per gallon.
That was just from Indian specs.
Right.
That's what I went by.
Even
I didn't actually
throwing
test
mine
that.
into sport mode, I'm still holding, 44 miles per gallon.
Okay.
On the computer. So it's like,
well, that's good to know.
yeah. So I'm actually doing really good. But then again, I have maybe a half hour to 40-minute ride to and from work and only have like 4 stops on the way. So it's a lot of, just go. Mm-hmm. So that's probably a reason why I'm getting slightly better mileage. But yeah, they do get, over 40 miles per gallon. So
okay, nice.
That's really good.
There you go. Directly from someone who has experience that. I never even tested the mileage. I just went by the spec sheet. I didn't have time to actually check my mileage.
And,
I don't think I was doing very good because I was riding it like I stole it.
Right, but part of it's the riding modes. Those riding modes are so great. I mean, it's like I don't need an aftermarket tuner on an Indian because I've got these 3 amazing ride modes that, especially, I remember the first time I put it into sport mode, I was going down the tail of the dragon.
Yeah,
I could not believe it. I mean, me and my riding club president, we decided like before we went down, like he said, okay, who's going to go down and take their time and who's going to go down aggressively? And I was like, I'm going down aggressively, because the last time I rode it, I had her as a passenger, so I wasn't riding aggressively. So I was like, okay, this time I'm going down aggressively. You'd have thought we were competing for King of the Baggers.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, he was on his Street Glide special. I'm on, my Challenger. I threw that thing into sport mode and oh my gosh. I mean, you pulling the wheel up? Yeah, no kidding. You could, that is a big bike to be pulling a wheel up off the ground. And especially in sport mode, it is not a problem. You better know what you're doing because the throttle response in that sport mode is 100% there.
Yep.
But likewise, I've had wet weather and it's like, oh, let's throw it into the rain mode. Or on some Indians, they don't call it rain mode. They just call it tour mode.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just a less responsive throttle.
Yep. Yeah, it just dumbs it down.
Yeah.
Takes the power away from the rear wheel.
And that's nice because on my old Street Glide, there were times I would spin the wheels because when it's wet, the wheels don't heat up. They don't grip as well.
Yep.
Especially when you hit the tar snakes or, you hit the paint lines on the road or something, you don't grip as well. And then you're spinning your tires. So
it is a nice safety thing for sure. Since we're doing a back and forth, the ride modes are nice. I tested them all. The Harleys have ride modes now, touring too. Everybody's kind of coming along with that, which is good. It's good for rider safety. A lot of them have traction control. The new CVOs I rode have all the same ride modes. And I would say both bikes that I've ridden very comparable. Like you said, once you hit rain mode and you start hitting some of those modes, they're just kind of dumbing down the power to the rear wheel. But having that traction control and some of those rider safety enhancements. The one thing that Harley has that the Indian I wished had, that's the premium package and it comes with everything, but it doesn't have the ABS lean angle stuff. They don't do the cornering ABS yet. And I'm not sure why. Awesome. Everything else. That's the one thing Harley has is that cornering enhanced ABS. They do have the drag slip. Well, they have a slip clutch, so it's similar, which is interesting. You have to get used to that and I'll get your take on it. So in you too, I ride really obviously ride police bikes. Like people, if they heard me shifting would think I'm blowing up my transmission. Like I use my transmission for a lot, especially when I'm going into corners. I'll shift down last minute to dump some and set in. The Harleys, my old Harley, that one will lock up a little bit, which is fine. I'm used to it, just, and then you go into it. The new Harley's obviously drag slip torque control. The Indian's got it, but the Indian I found right away it's not a bad thing. It's definitely something you need to adjust for because it does not have the compression braking that a Harley does. Once you hit it, it just takes longer. And I think that's what the slip clutch I was told from a lot of Indian owners is you shift down. I think you noticed it too.
I did.
He was like, first thing he told me, I didn't tell him anything. He's like,
I wish you
holy
would have.
shit. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't.
Because I had to get in the brakes.
Yeah, you have to do it ahead of, you just have to account for it because it's not going to dump speed as quick as a Harley motor. And that's just the way the clutch and the motor, it's not a bad thing. It's just something
You have to
definitely notable.
anticipate, for sure.
Yes. Okay. You noticed that too?
Yeah.
On it a bit from the Harley?
Well, I didn't ride the Harley as much as I've ridden the Indians, but I definitely try to anticipate turns a lot more.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know. I can't ride at your skill level.
Right.
I mean, your skill level is amazing. But compared to a lot of riders, yes, on the slow technical stuff, because I do practice it, I'm pretty good. Okay. I'm not Ryan Urlacher good, but I'm decent. Okay.
I'm blushing.
Yeah.
His head's big enough, dude.
Like going down Tail of the Dragon.
That's what she said.
He ain't shit. Come on.
So
what she said.
you haven't done Tail of the Dragon yet.
No, this year, bro.
Yep.
This is what I want to let you know, just real quick, and then I want to hear about this. I wasn't talking about low speed maneuvers. I was talking about cornering hard. Okay, on open roads where you have to anticipate.
Going down the tail. Okay. 318 turns and 11 miles. Bro. It is more serious than the Iron Highway.
Yeah.
Okay, the Iron Highway is great, but it is a lot more involved going down the Tail of the Dragon. I don't know how fast I was going. I will
probably better
say,
to keep your eyes on the road.
Exactly. I was more concerned about my RPMs.
Yeah, right,
so here's one thing about switching from the air-cooled, low-end torque Harley-Davidson to the liquid-cooled Challenger. It wants its RPMs like a sports bike.
It does. That's a good point.
It wants its RPMs up there. So
she likes to be ridden hard.
3,000 RPMs on a Harley, it's like, hey, you need to shift, buddy. 3,000 RPMs on that thing, it's like, give me more.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a totally different power band.
You talked about it. Yeah, you talked about that in the video. And that is no kidding. When I got used to running higher RPMs, so going down the Tail of the Dragon, I mean, okay, hopefully statute of limitations is on this. So I know I got above 70 miles an hour at one point, which is really hairy because now I got to slow down real fast because here comes a serious turn.
Yeah.
There are more turns. So you've done Iron Mountain, which I think Iron Mountain was longer with fewer turns, but it's still an amazing ride.
They had different splits and stuff too, though.
Yeah, there's no splits, there's no tunnels, there's no pigtails on the
Right.
Tail of the Dragon. But there are so many more switchbacks where you're going to be in first gear and you're going to be going outside, inside, outside to make that turn on the Tail of the Dragon. There are a lot more tight turns.
Maybe a little closer to Needles.
Okay.
Well, both of them had
Like the technical parts of Needles is probably pretty close to what the Tail of the Dragon is.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember, so we actually watched somebody dump their bike going down Needles Highway because it was a sharp downhill turn. And I'm guessing this person was probably a flatlander, not used to a lot of, sharp turns like this. And they just grabbed too much brake trying to do a sharp downhill turn.
Cut too far inside.
The rider was okay.
Okay. Good.
The rider was okay, but they dropped their Softail Classic. So it's just kind of like, oh, that really sucks,
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you guys, especially you, Ryan, with the technical stuff you do, you're going to love it. Okay. That ride is phenomenal.
I'm so stoked about it.
Yep.
It's on my life
And
list.
The only time you get frustrated on the Tail of the Dragon is when the person that's just sightseeing doesn't realize that there's pull-offs for
talking
a reason.
about you. It's talking about Lurch.
What?
There are pull-offs on the Tail of the Dragon. So if somebody comes up behind you, you can get out of the way. So yes, if you just want to enjoy the ride, go ahead. But be aware of people coming up behind you. If somebody wants to go that fast, and I mean, so many people have seen the pictures and the videos, because trust me, there are plenty of photographers along that road. You wonder, how do people get all these pictures and videos of these accidents on Tail of the Dragon? There's plenty of photographers along the way. So just like when you go to Sturgis, you know how you do riding around Sturgis, and they've got, hey, look at my website. And,
hey, look, I got a better camera than you. Yeah. I tell them. I got more film gear than you. Let me take a picture of you.
You should park up the road and fly your drone past them.
No doubt, just right by them, dude. Yeah, planned. plan.
Yep.
A couple of comments in the
Yes,
chat there.
please do.
So we were talking about the key fob and the red key being on. Mike Schnard says, if you want to resolve the fob red light issue next time you see it, enter the bike's security code manually, and it will ride command, and it should resolve itself.
Damn, I tried that, but
we didn't know what it was.
The company didn't send me the security code, so I was trying to get 000012334.
And that's
if you
I told Mike was.
If you contact a garage, Indian usually has a standard maintenance one.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you take off the side panel, then it's usually in the side panel. So you should be able to look at that.
That's good to know. We'll have to go out and take a look.
We don't want to have people steal
info. You could probably change it, though.
Yeah. So when I bought mine and when she got hers, they walk you through putting your own code in. So you have your own default code.
Yeah, you tried starting the bike with the code and couldn't come up with it. But Mike's saying that if you would have entered it probably would have got rid of that.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Appreciate it. Love the community out there. Lots of experience. So let's keep moving along in the interest of time. So we talked about that motor. I'm going to positive 108. Awesome. Amazing as far as torque, responsiveness. I absolutely smile every time I ride it. Run it like you stole it. Run it at high RPMs. It's totally different. I think they did a good job. The one thing that I'll note on the other side, since we're talking about the motor, it is the one thing I noticed. It's been verified by multiple other. I'll just say I'm in contact with a lot of other YouTubers in the industry that have reviewed this bike because I wanted to make sure it wasn't just me before I put out my review. It has a shitload of vibration. It not bad, and I'm not dogging it. It would not stop me from buying it. It wouldn't stop me from touring on it. I did. Be prepared. That motor, and it's just the way it is. It's a high revvy motor. We got to understand it's different. It's liquid cooled. There's a lot of benefits to it. It surprised me only because I guess I wasn't expecting a touring bike to have that. It's not the kind that's going to hurt you but when you get those in higher RPMs, it will literally tickle the arches of your feet, those floorboards. So it's just something to be aware of. Again, not a deal breaker, but it was more than I would have expected. And I have read online from a lot of guys, not a deal breaker, and but something that you should be aware of. I would definitely go test ride one. You'll see what I'm talking about. It gives a lot of feedback, which is also good. I do like feedback. I don't want it to go too far the other way. But I don't know, with that motor, that's just something I wanted to say. And again, I conferred with a bunch of other people and they're like, oh yeah, bro. Yeah. The other thing, which was really interesting. And again, this is not an Indian dog. Harley has had lots. We're going to talk about some of that because I'll get into the CVOs or whatever. But the one thing that really surprised me, and this surprised Lurch too, because I didn't tell him before I gave him the bike. First gas station he pulled up, he's like, dude, there is a lot of heat off this motor. I said, yeah. So it's a water cooled motor. I said it in my review, it's not a deal breaker, but it will heat up the insides of your feet. And again, I talked to some other YouTube people because I wanted to make sure they were laughing on the text. We're like, oh yeah, bro. It's interestingly, a lot of other channels didn't say it. I said it, but I didn't put too much emphasis on it. For a water cooled motor, I feel like they should have. That's definitely something I hope that they fix in the future. Now, I don't know. It's definitely the right foot too more than the left foot. You notice it too. And again, none of this is a deal breaker. It's not bashing at all. It's just everybody has problems, and I'm hoping that in the future they can think about that. And I don't know if they can have those fans like redirect it down. I don't know if it's necessarily the fans or just coming off the primary. Again, I toured on it. It's nothing that's going to stop me from buying one, but it is definitely something that me and Lurch noted, and Lurch came up to me. I just wanted to see if he would notice, about that. Do you guys have any comments on that? And a lot of other Indian owners say, oh yeah, it's a big problem.
And it's not, it is an Indian thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whether you're on my, liquid cooled 108 or you're on her air cooled bike, it is a huge thing.
Do you notice on the air cooled?
I do.
I don't remember.
It's right side dominant and it is very hot.
Okay.
So one thing that I've done that has helped reduce it, I did the Tab Performance Catalytic Converter Delete.
Yes, I've seen a lot of guys do.
So that, and being a liquid cooled, they're usually quieter engines.
Yes.
That has given me a little more, exhaust sound. So, I'm not the stealthy Indian anymore. I'm now an Indian that when I hit that throttle, it makes noise.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, so I did the 2-into-1 cat delete. So what that does, you still have to have the pipe on the left side because it acts as the support for the saddlebag. So they basically they remove the catalytic converter, and it's just a cross arm that attaches to the muffler on the left side. But my left muffler is just there for aesthetics and to hold the saddlebag. So I've got a 2-into-1 exhaust, and that has made a difference in a lot of that heat on the right side. Yes.
Okay, good.
So it's made a difference.
Good. And so it's just something to note. I just wanted to bring it up. It's a fair and balanced review. But again, didn't stop me from riding it, but definitely it was just more for a water cooled motor. I think they can definitely do something there.
You know, when you're doing
move the cat's
70
back.
plus, when you're doing 70 plus, you don't feel it anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was definitely worse or better when I was out on the freeway, but riding through town, when you stop at an intersection, it's a little bit overwhelming at times. I'm not going to lie. It's like, wow, okay, did we need that? And coming up on the rider, you can feel it too. Yeah, my Harley puts out stuff and I ride the police bike, but definitely something they can do there that just would make that a little bit more better for the rider.
Right. But just like Harley has the heat deflectors that you can get that go, right in front of the seat and
I do use my police bike comes stock with them. I don't use them on this bike. But they do make the deflectors to help with that heat. It was just a lot more than the Harley motor.
Zero has them now for like the Chieftain.
For the Chieftain.
Okay. Oh, gotcha.
So
we're probably going to buy those and see how it does with my bike with the heat deflection.
Let us know when you use those, so we can put it out on a podcast, the platform, and give you a review of them and whether it's worth the purchase.
Absolutely.
I think that would be really helpful to have those.
I want to see. So they only have them listed for the Chieftain. I want to see if it's possible to put them on the Challenger. So I'm going to look into that as well.
Well, there you go. See if the fitment is the same or something. Yeah,
exactly. So because and that was one of the points I wanted to make, excuse me for turning away. One of the points I wanted to make is Indian does a lot better than Harley, I feel, on making their parts more interchangeable. Okay.
Nice.
That tour pack, I can take that tour pack off this Pursuit and put it right on her Chieftain.
That's nice.
Whereas a lot of times you end up with Harley-Davidson like, oh, this will fit everything in the Softail class except.
True.
It's like, what do you mean except?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Does it fit everything in Softail or not, But they do a lot better job of making things more interchangeable. You address like the tour pack is always removable. So no matter what Indian I get, the tour pack's always removable. I did not like that when I had the Ultra Classic, and I converted my Ultra Classic to be removable because I weighed that tour pack and it was 50 pounds. That's a lot of weight to have up that high.
Yep.
So taking it off made the bike a lot more nimble and a lot more easy to maneuver. So I like having the removable. I mean, even on my bike with the removable backrest on both of our bikes, it's great when we don't have the kids and I can just take that off.
Yep. That's something I gave props to Indian on, and I've bitched at Harley about that for years, that is something that's awesome, is stock out of the gate, removable tour pack. It's super easy. It's quick. It's got the special plugs so you can just unpack it. And there's a little compartment in the back of the seat that you lift up and you can just stuff the wires in there. I mean, why Harley hasn't done that, I don't know, but that's what a lot of guys would buy a trunk if it was that easy and it was set up that way. A lot of guys do it aftermarket, but I just appreciate that Indian did that out of the gate. So that's a big plus. Let's do this real quick and then we got some more things to talk about. And we'll get out of here. Go Lurch.
Are you searching for the easiest and quickest detachable luggage system for your motorcycle? Rick Rack.
Rick Rack.
That's just what you're looking for. Forget all those frustrating straps and bungee cords that can come loose and slap your paint. Check out one of Rick Rack's awesome quick attach strapless luggage rack systems. This father and son team designed something really special you can't find anywhere else. Yep, these guys ride, so they truly understand the needs of bikers. The Rick Rack quick attach system is strong, durable, and secure with a lockable system. Also, check out their full line of quality turning bags to accompany your quick detach system. Once you use Rick Rack, you'll never go back. What are you waiting for, Bikeaholics? Head on over to Law Abiding Biker store and check out our full line of Rick Rack systems and bags. lawabidingbiker.com/store.
There you go. So I just want to say, just in the interest of time, we're going to keep moving along here. I'm just going to breeze over it. You can watch the review. Yeah, we agree. The Pursuit, the Pursuit is just a longer wheelbase. It's set up different, as a different rake. I tried it on the police course. It's definitely a bear. As far as and I don't mean that it's made for touring. That's what guys are using it for. So don't get me wrong. I just always want to test it like on a police course and see if it would be a viable police bike.
You know what? You should ask the department if you can put some temporary lights on that thing and take it to work.
And just do it, bro. No doubt. No doubt. It's just, you can't do the same type patterns. A Harley, whether it's a road glide or street glide, just in low speed maneuvers, turning, it's a big bike and it's a long wheelbase. So just be aware of that. But I did test it on the course and I had to figure out why I couldn't do the patterns. And then I started getting into specs. I go, okay, it's not me.
Right.
It's
got the same lean angle, but it's an 1.5 inch longer wheel base. So now one of the things that the dealer told me that, I liked and was like, oh, okay, is so in 22, I don't know if it's changed or whatever. I didn't really do my research. I just took his word for it. He's like, oh yeah, this has like 2 degrees more lean angle. I've found that right now they're the same lean angle.
Yes.
At 31 degrees. But with an 1.5 inch longer wheelbase, that does affect your turning radius.
Right. And I will tell you, just on those turns, when I was doing the not the course, but normal turns, I think I talked about it in that review, that thing, and it's just the way the floorboards are, they're longer. They're so easy to drag. So just be aware that it can be resolved with different floorboards and it's not going to put you down. It's literally just the edge but I found out where it was. It's the very rear tip of that floorboard. I definitely can get into them quicker than on a Harley. It has the same lean angle though, so it doesn't matter. Does that make sense? But it's the longer floorboard you have, the more that it's going to drag. So those stock floorboards, holy shit. I mean, I can zero effort to just completely grind those around corners. Lurch heard me when he was set up taking some pictures and stuff. It's just something I noted. Not a bad thing. It's a touring bike. Most people aren't into their floorboards. I just like to push it for the review and really figure out where things are in the lean angle. But it cornered great. It's very steady. The one thing that I really liked about it that I noted in that review, especially on the freeway when you're doing 70, 80, 85 plus, and you go around those long sweepers, that frickin' bike settles in and you get zero wobble. Like it is solid, the frame and the setup and the rake. And that's because it has an 1.5 inch. So with the shorter wheelbase, you get better maneuvering low speed. With the longer wheelbase, you get better high speed turning if you weren't aware. And that definitely came to fruition. I can't say enough about that bike. Like I had it set at like 80, going around a sweeper corner, that same corner around Vantage that I come around on my Harley, and I'll start to walk my Harley just a little bit. And it's fine. We all know you settle into it. You back off the throttle a little bit, settle it, go through. I didn't have to do anything with the Indian. It was solid. So I was really impressed with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does just, it's so smooth in the corners. I mean, there were times that, I noticed on the street glide that, you get a little bit of, shake sometimes.
Especially if there's a dip before the corner, you get a little bit of walk on you, that uneasy walk. Yeah.
Much less on the Indian. I also so I had the old air suspension, where I had to pull out the pump.
That was the worst suspension ever created.
So I had that.
Died one time.
with the Indian, it's just a monoshock.
Yeah.
That's real easy adjustable. On her Chieftain, it is still an air shock that we have to pump, but it's singular.
Okay, so there is
not like I got to do. It's not like I got to do both sides, but mine is mechanical, and it just comes with a nice wrench, and you just it says, okay, your fat butt's going to be putting this much weight on the bike. You need to be at a number 3. Okay, go to number 3. Okay,
so very similar to the Harley, they give you a spec. Yeah. It's preload based on weight, and they just tell you where to set it. Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice.
So it's real easy for that.
I have the premium, so that had the electronic, which is really cool. I will just say,
you're spoiled
if you can get the premium package, that's money. I wish that would just come stock on Harleys and Indians. We're in going in 2024. Let's just make electronically, especially the rear adjustables. That was so nice.
Yeah.
It was really fun to play with. Anyways, yeah.
It's so easy to do now. And one of the other points you made, and this is one of my last points on my show notes, is the hydraulic clutch. So I've never used a hydraulic clutch. I've never ridden a bike with that, but I do remember when I was test riding the Scout for Stacy, the clutch was so smooth on the Scout. I remember the dealership for insurance reason has to send you out with one of their people. So it's okay, I'm riding with this guy. But once he realized I wasn't just some schmuck trying to ride a bike,
not going to whiskey throttle the thing into the forest. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Once we got about halfway through their riding course, he let me get on it a little bit. So, because he realized, okay, this guy, knows what he's talking about. Because when we hit the first stop, I was like, hey, does this have a hydraulic clutch? He's like, nope, it's cable. I was like, that is a really smooth clutch, compared to, like, I remember I did the advanced course on her dyno one time. I took it multiple times because on active duty it was free. So why not? Right?
Nice.
Take a day off of work and go ride. And I did it with her dyna, and the clutch was so tight on that I mean, it was a forearm workout that day. But riding this Scout is like, that's so smooth. And then even when I test rode my Challenger, it's like, that is still really smooth, but it's not a hydraulic clutch. The way I listen to you describe how nice a hydraulic clutch is. So yes, it's not hydraulic clutch, but it is a very smooth clutch, I think, even with the cable.
Yeah.
So
I had to adjust it multiple times. But the Harley too. And Harley's they went back to the cable too. That's a whole, Lurch knows I can go down that road.
It's a whole nother episode.
It's not necessarily, in a nutshell, it's more consistent with the hydraulic. Doesn't mean cable aren't smooth and great. They are. I had to adjust it 3 times, and that's a problem with cables. You're constantly
having
having
a little bit of break in and everything. Because
I got that bike with a ton of miles on it. It was already broke in.
Okay.
It's been around to a lot of people before me.
Yeah.
I did ride it on a course, but still. And that's harder. You have to adjust too. That's the problem with hydraulics. And that just comes from a trainer, like course perspective. The hydraulics are maintenance free. I mean, you have dirt bikes coming with hydraulic clutches now, like your KTMs. I was looking at the 300 TE, which I want to get.
Why are you looking at dirt bikes?
I know, dude, because you got me into it last week and I just shut up. But it's
you can't buy another bike until you sell one.
Yes. We're going to sell the night train. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
I thought someone else was your wife.
Oh, I'm his work wife.
He's probably more my wife. Yeah, exactly, dude. No doubt.
Take his credit card
does
away.
she have something on you to make sure he stays in line?
She probably does.
No, she's just a sweetheart, so I can't help it.
She probably does. Yeah, no doubt. But anyways, with that said, it's just the hydraulic cars come with hydraulic. It's an old system. It works fine as long as you're willing to adjust it and adjust your internal plates and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't mean it's not smooth. The Pursuit's fine smooth. So is the new Harley 2023 CVO. Cable clutch, smooth, but it's going to mean you adjust it all the time, and you're going to have to get internal. And so that's the only reason I say a lot of that stuff. And every other motorcycle manufacturer, BMW, everybody, Harley and Indian. Let's go back to cable, really. When every other motorcycle manufacturer, including dirt bikes, are hydraulic. So I'm not sure on that. But anyways, again, that's a rabbit trail, but it is a very nice, smooth. I worked a course with it. I have no problems with it. It's a good cable clutch for sure.
And what I would say to people like trying to make a decision based off your video, you are a very skilled, very technical rider. Just like earlier we were talking about snowboards and stuff. For somebody that's never snowboarded, for somebody that doesn't have your riding experience, they don't appreciate a lot of the finer details that you do. You and I are really good snowboarders. So like when you were showing me those new bindings, it's like, whoa, those are amazing.
Yeah.
I've never used and I'm going back and forth, with, comparisons here with the snowboarding and motorcycling. So sorry, folks, but I've never had a hydraulic clutch cable, but I did notice compared to the Harleys that I had, which were all older Harleys.
Definitely they're harder.
Yes.
Especially like that night train and stuff.
This cable clutch was still a lot smoother. So
they've definitely upgraded the technology over the years.
So I would still like to see, do a ride, some technical riding and see what a cable or a hydraulic clutch feels like. One day I'm sure I will. So
I will say the Pursuit, though, adjustment wise, they did a really good job at making it really easy on the external.
It is,
super. So good job there. If you're going to do a cable clutch, and Harley did too when they went back to their cable. Theirs is a little bit different. Theirs is an auto adjust. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's really interesting. So they both done good jobs in their own way. It was really quick for me to adjust that on the Indian Pursuit, but the Harley one is nice without getting too technical with it. You take these two deals and you pop them out. And once you pop, you don't even need wrenches. Once you pop them out, it takes the slack out and you relock them. It just self-adjusts. It's basically manual self-adjust, if that makes sense. So once you turn them, which is a really cool system, no wrenches, no nothing. So at least they've, rather than the old system with the boot that we always ripped off, because we're always ripping. And you're just like, I used to just cut the boot off.
Trying to get the boot back on. Now it's inside out. It's like,
totally, dude. Every Hardy owner knows the rubber boot. We usually just, in our police motors, when we had them, we just cut a slit in both ends so that it would come on and off really easy and you could adjust it. But anyways, so there you go on that. What else do we want to talk about? Saddlebags. That is one thing, that is, and I've heard through the grapevine that Indian became aware of this because a lot of us said shit about it. Indian is revamping. Wasn't it me and you? They realized that it is a kind of a little bit of a sloppy system, and they're revamping it to make them more solid on the new models. Wasn't that you, Lurch?
They did revamp it. Yeah, I watched a launch of their new models this year, and they had made some changes to the design of the saddlebag to make it a little more rigid and also not open all the way up.
Right.
So it wasn't so flimsy.
And it seems like that was based on feedback. So awesome to Indian. Harley's listening. Indian's finally, everybody's listening, and they're getting these bikes. And so, not a deal breaker. Something I noted in my video. It was definitely like, it seems a little bit sloppy and wouldn't latch. And I lost a code out of it because it didn't let one of my climb
out in the middle of nowhere, by the way, between
some car ran over it.
We were kind of an hour west of Spokane out in the middle of the wheat fields, and we just passed a car. And then your saddlebag came open and your climb jacket flew out, and then they ran it over and put some holes in it. Again,
not a deal breaker. So what I do now, and what I'm talking about, guys, is it's not, again, none of this is a deal breaker. Just a little bit. I was surprised that you really have to slam the trunk to get it to close. You're not just going to latch it.
But you don't.
And then, we'll ask that. And then the side bags are really, the lids are thin. And if you don't get the latch, and the other thing, the biggest thing that I had that I think Indian can improve on the saddlebags is they're wasting a lot of storage space. And so what I found is because it's an automatic, and let me say this, thank God Indian is on that bike is making lockable saddlebags. You only get that on the CVOs with the Harley, and I love that. Remote and locking. So that's awesome. But because they made that system, if you put anything above the lip of the saddlebag, you will not get it closed. It's taking up a lot of space. So those saddlebags look big, but they lack a lot of space because of the mechanism and the way they did that. I think they can revamp that. But I do appreciate the locking. And so what I did on that is I lock them now. Yeah. So just to make sure that they're latched. I think that's good on any bike. Yeah.
And I mean, the large locking mechanism, it's not just an auto lock issue. Even on mine without the auto locks, that's an issue. That's where still they put a large housing. Okay. Yes. But I will agree. So like Lurch said, they're tightening the saddlebag lids.
Good.
Great. Because that is a thing. When you open the saddlebag lid, it's I've gone and checked it. It's like, are my screws coming loose? What's going on here? No, it just has a little play in it. And what I've learned to do rather than slamming it is as I close it, I just kind of roll it inboard towards the fender, and then it latches nicely without slamming it.
Okay.
So, because one of the downsides of an Indian, some of the things are made of plastic that probably shouldn't be made of plastic. One of those being like your control cluster on your handlebars. Yep. It's made out of aluminum or whatever on a Harley. It's made out of plastic on the Indian. And it's like, you tighten the screw down too hard and you're going to snap it. So that's a negative for Indian, that it's like, hey guys, step it up here so that's not as fragile. That might be why you made the goof on dude, I'm trying to give you an out.
Hulk smash.
So
we've been at it too long, and I was frustrated. But that happens.
Yeah, that's something that on the Indian, it's like, hey, that control cluster housing on the handlebars, let's make it out of something other than plastic.
Yep. Interestingly, though, we talk about that, and that's one of the benefits of Indian.
They listen.
Well, they do, and Hardy's really listening to. I give both companies like kudos. Like they are taking feedback from us, and it's amazing. I've never seen it this good in the industry as far as that, because they're both competing, right?
Yeah.
I will say the Indian, though, that's why a lot of guys, and it's fine, they are a value as far as that, because you're going to spend less on an Indian. With that comes some of those things, right? It's cheaper. It doesn't make it a deal breaker, but that's why a lot of guys will get into an Indian, is you can, get it for $5,000 less for a lot of the same stuff. I'm not saying it's built cheap. I'm just saying to get it to that price point, you're going to have to make some changes. Interesting comment, Mark Arnold from Canada. I can't imagine ever getting a bike with a cable clutch again. Goldwings have them for over 20 years. Hydraulic clutches. Russell, love the remote lock on the Goldwing. It's been on them for years. Yeah, Harley definitely, absolutely needs to pull that out, and that should be coming stock. Like on the Indians. That's just, I've bitched about that for years. So, anyways, I just wanted to get some of the comments in there with those are some of our patron members in there. So thanks for hanging with us, guys. So yeah, there is some of those things as far as like the little plastic things. I did notice the dash panels, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just the panels, the way they like, and I mean this in the nicest way. I don't know how to, just a little bit less refined. My dash panel on the Pursuit you can push on it and it moves around in between the stereo and stuff. It's not a bad thing. It's not a put down. It's just, that's just what I felt is like the lines and the panels weren't quite, when you look really close, as tight. Maybe it's because I came from a 2023 CVO. That's just my opinion. That could be completely, again, it doesn't change anything as far as the bike's performance.
Having gotten into that, because I had to get in there. So my bike did not come with the heated grips. I had to install them myself. So I had to get into the fairing. When I thought I was going to upgrade my speakers, again, I got into the fairing and everything. So a lot of theirs is less, like, I remember getting into my Batwing on the Street Glide. It's like, okay, you got to take the front off, then you got to do this. And they make theirs so, you get the little plastic pry bar and you can just pop stuff off and get in there.
Maybe that's
easier.
Why.
So yeah,
okay,
that's what you're probably.
And again, it doesn't change anything. It wouldn't stop me, or it's not. It's just I try to note everything.
Yeah,
like I have this bike and I'll look over it for hours, and I'll look over Hardy for hours, and just because I have time and I really want to dive a little bit deeper than a lot of the other reviewers. But that's a good point. That's probably why, is they make those. I haven't had that one apart. We had a Challenger apart when we did the bars and stuff, and that was a fairly easy forward process.
I did appreciate the way they put it together. It makes it a lot easier to get stuff apart and back together.
It's true. We did like that for sure. Yeah. Including the control clusters and everything.
Yeah, much easier to deal with.
I mean, I think when I did speakers on my Street Glide, I had to unscrew the screens, whereas on the Indian, I just popped the screens off.
Okay.
And then I'm at the speakers right there. So
yeah, that's only the Road Glide. Yeah, you got to remove the whole fairing. They have whole speaker boxes in the Batwing. They're big plastic speaker boxes. Well, 14 and newer. Yeah, mine has it.
That's
They're huge speaker boxes. What do they call them? Compartments or enclosures? Speaker enclosures that are, obviously like bass speakers help with the sound or whatever. But the Road Glide, they're just popping a couple 4 bolts. They come out really easy.
Another reason to have a Road Glide.
Yeah. And they have speaker boxes too, though.
They do.
They have enclosures, but you can access it from the top. So yeah, all good stuff. Let's move on down here. Yeah, we've talked about that. What else, Lurch? Can you remember from my reviews that we want to talk about? Overall, awesome bike, super responsive. I love the motor. I love the torque. It's fun. It'll make you smile. It's fine. You'll go cross country. It's amazing. Obviously, the high points, yes, definitely more vibration than I would have expected, more heat than I would have expected. Neither deal breakers. And I did have higher hopes just because I've been so pissed off at the boombox over the years. I had higher hopes for the Ride Command, but that's okay. It is what it is. And hopefully both companies can step that up. I will say, and then I want to hear why you ultimately switched, and then we can clean up anything and we'll take it out. It's been a long episode. I appreciate everybody sticking with it. This is a really good topic, and I've learned a lot just listening to you as somebody who has ridden these for a while and has a lot of experience with them. So I will say, a lot of guys ask me, it's hard. I will say that we set it up front. We're comparing the Indian Pursuit with the premium package, Dark Horse. It's got all the bells and whistles. I also had the opportunity. I didn't get to spend obviously nearly as much time with the 2023 CVOs. But the game is on between these two companies. Game on. I will tell you that as far as the motor goes, I love that 108 water cooled on this Indian Pursuit. You will not be displeased with the performance of that motor. It's fun. It'll make you feel young again. I will say that Harley knocked it out of the park with their 121 VVT. That's game changer. And I will be curious to see. And the reason I say that, we can look at spec sheets all day. I'm not so much into that, which is why I like to get on them. Because specs are one thing, but what does that really mean when I put wheels to the road? And how does it actually ride and feel, and all that kind of stuff? I will tell you that all I can tell you is that that 121 with that VVT is so buttery smooth. It's like nothing else that I've ridden, but yet it still has enough feedback to make it a Harley. But again, that one you roll on the throttle, you can definitely bring the front wheel off, little clutch wheelie like I did with the Pursuit. Definitely, I think the 108, just without even looking at spec sheets, is a torquier, but it's not so massive. What I lose in vibration with the VVT is worth it. And I will tell you that motor, the heat, I do know how they did it because I looked at all the research. I've never ridden a Harley with that little heat. Like everything they did about that bike was to get heat away from the rider. And I read a lot of the research and, anyways, I would buy either. Again, you're going to get a better price point. And I'm hoping they bring some of the technology, from the Harley CVOs to the regular models. And I know they're going to, because they wouldn't have did that much R&D to just leave that in the CVOs. I can't talk extensively about the new infotainment system. It's run by Operating Skyline, which is still what we've talked about, a frickin' motorcycle manufacturer trying to develop software, although they apparently work closely with the company. I don't have my hands on it. I had a short time. It was a pre-production model, so I didn't play a lot with that. I don't know how that's going to pan out. But I will say those motors are both great motors. But if you get a chance, if you haven't, I would suggest just go test ride one of those 121 VVTs. It's a game changer. And I think that VVT is the future. And I think Polaris, Indian will be in the VVT game very soon, because that's what companies do. They're pushing each other. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But yeah, anyways, I don't have enough. They're both awesome bikes. I would buy either. That's all I'm going to say. You give and take. So yeah. What do you say?
Yeah, that 108 is amazing. My really good buddy that I ride with, he's got a CVO with the 117. He hates that he struggles to keep up with me when I get on that throttle. He hates that. It's like, I'm just a 108. What's up with that? You wonder why Harley even went to the 131 for King of the Baggers.
Yes. Yeah. You are talking about an air-cooled compared to a water-cooled.
Exactly.
So that's
exactly
right.
So there's definitely a performance difference there. So if you're looking for performance,
water-cooled is always the way.
That 108 is amazing. But yes, there are still downsides. You and I can list just as many positives as negatives for Harley and Indian on this. But I just wanted the audience to know that this isn't, you're not just doing this review as Ryan and everything. Yeah, I agree with almost everything you say. I just wanted to, provide a little more insight as an actual Indian owner and rider.
Love it. Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to do. And why did I ultimately switch from Harley to Indian? Because at the time I was tired with my 2004 Street Glide.
You made a big upgrade there.
You guys caught me, in the 2020 video working on the thing before the ride, So Lurch even came up and, called me out on not having the cruise tools.
Oh,
so
good.
Now I've got cruise tools now. So I will say this though, Lurch, the tools I had there, I copied the tool inventory from the Cruise tool set.
Oh, okay.
I was just too poor to buy
nice,
it.
bro.
You know?
We would have gave you a huge discount. Just get a hold of us, bro.
So, but no, and you know,
Washington company, by the way.
Yeah.
and even the Indian tool set you can buy is Cruise tools, but because it says Indian, you're going to pay $15 more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take a Sharpie and write Indian on mine. Yeah, but no. So
Nice. Yeah.
yeah. So I needed to upgrade from that 2004 Street Glide. It was an 88 cubic inch. I'm riding with guys that got newer bikes.
Dude, that is
they got a 6-speed and everything. So I wanted, you know, something bigger than an 88. I wanted a 6th gear and everything. So I was looking at, you know, I didn't like the older shark nose. I like the newer shark nose.
Agreed.
When they changed that? Same time
15.
as was it 15?
2015.
I thought it was with the Rushmore. So yeah. So I liked, they changed the nose a little bit. So I liked it a little more, but I was never really in love with the 2 headlight look, you know. Indian did it a little differently with those LEDs and such up front. So I was like, okay, that's not the 2 headlight look up there. So that was one of the things I loved, or, well, not loved, but I liked. But I didn't like immediately go to the Challenger. I wanted to try a Chieftain. I wanted to try, you know, actually take a Road Glide out. I had been on a Road Glide before, so I had kind of an idea what I was in for a Road Glide. But I went to the local dealership. They had the Challenger there. I took it for a ride and I was like, yeah, but I still think I might want to try the Chieftain. And the dealer's like, the Chieftain, it ain't going to perform the same as that Challenger. If you like that Challenger, you're going to be disappointed with the Chieftain. Not to say that the Chieftain's bad.
Let him have it. Oh, I gotta see this. Yeah, live in the studio.
I got upset.
Hang on, I'll tell you about getting the Chieftain. So that I'll get to that.
From the girl with the hat that says titties and bikes. She's gonna backhand you.
Who doesn't love titties and bikes?
That's right. Gold.
Yeah. So I actually walked out of the dealership that day like, okay, you know, I got to go away on work and I'll be back when you guys got a Chieftain because I really want to try a Chieftain. I was gone for 3 days. I called the guy up and I was like, hey, what do I got to do to secure that bike? He's like, well, it's 5 minutes to closing. Call me in the morning and we'll just do a credit card hold. So I called him in the morning because I was in Arizona. He was back in Virginia. Called him in the morning, did a credit card hold. The bike's mine now. No regrets. Part of what it was is taking that bike for a ride. And I'm curious, I want to hear what you thought when you first rode it. Now you might have had a bias because you already rode the previous Challenger, but this one set up stock. When you sat on it and you rode it, what did you think about how you sat in the bike? Because that was one of the things that I really loved being, you know, 5'10", 5'11". I felt like that bike was set up for me. Like I sat down into the bike, the stock handlebars were just right, you know, they're not too low. They're not too high. If I want to ride a little more aggressively, they're still in a good spot for that.
Yeah.
You know, you start putting those, you know, A-pingers on there and everything, but, oh, I want to ride aggressively. Well, you're riding aggressively with your arms up in the air.
Right.
You know, so I like.
Take away performance anytime you do that.
Exactly. So I like.
But it looks cool.
How the bike was just set up stock. It felt like it was set up for me and I wasn't going to have to change a lot of things. And since then, the only thing I've done is, okay, I added a backrest for passengers. Okay, safety, you know. I put heated grips on it. What else did I do? Oh, like engine guards. That's from a stock Challenger. That's all I've done to it.
Yeah.
And I'm completely happy with that bike. I mean, it just does everything I want a bike to do. You know, and when they tried to sell me extra bells and whistles, it was like, I don't have that now and I'm not really missing it. It's not like when I went from my Fat Boy to a touring bike and now I got cruise control. Cruise control's a, you know, game changer and everything. I mean, you know, you've had other guys say that on, you know, Cowboy doing the ride on, what do you have, a Dyna back then or a Softail? You know, it's just like cruise control makes such a huge difference. So
switching from my Scout to the Chieftain, the cruise control was a big difference. So trying to ride Sturgis with them when everybody else had we're going 80 down the highway, and I'm the only one who doesn't have cruise control.
Props to you, though. That's a tough thing. Bike. Damn right.
And I didn't have I had the windshield, but no fairing, no nothing. I was taking it all to the chest and the head.
So for the longest time.
You are a machine, though. Yeah. That's good for you.
They do make a batwing fairing
balls than you.
For the Indian Scout.
Sorry, I had to. Okay, never mind.
No.
Sorry.
I'm not into that. Okay. Not talking down about it. It's just not me.
Not yet.
I love it.
No, so she really earned that chieftain. She had done.
Tell him how I earned it, baby.
I'm going to. So she had done a lot of riding with that bike, and she really loved it. As everybody does their first bike, and they don't want to get rid of their first. bike.
Technically, it wasn't my first bike, but
okay. Well,
the first bike I actually loved.
Yes, she was never in love with the Dyna. So as much as I tried to modify that and make it nicer for her, but that's okay because I ended up selling that thing for more than I had into it because, partly with the help of Big Daddy, that Dyna was like 3 bikes in one with all the mods, removable windshield, Viking saddlebags, different seats and everything. The guy I sold it to, he was like, oh my gosh, this is like a bar hopper and a beginner touring bike all in one. It's like, absolutely, man. Give me the money. So we got rid of that. We got the Indian. She rode it. So Indian does make a batwing fairing that'll go on the Scout.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Even color matched to your paint. The problem is they were out of stock for like over a year. So even though it was like, hey,
that parts thing.
Let me know when you get one and everything. They never had it. They just had the little, windshields. So
you could get the non-painted version and then they'd color match it, but then it was like $1,500 more or something ridiculous like that. So.
Yeah. I got to find somebody.
It wasn't worth it.
Right.
Yeah. So she had the taller windscreen on it. And it was enough to take it out of your chest, and then because she usually rides with a full face, it would put the wind up and over. If I had the half helmet on, it just tried to catch that thing like a parachute. It put the wind right there. So she did 3 days of riding around the Black Hills on that bike, keeping up with the rest of us on nice touring bikes and everything. And the end of day 3, we were at Sturgis, Indian, and this was like Wednesday, and everything kicks off on Thursday. So they've got every bike there. What color do you want that bike in? They've got the choices. They aren't picked over yet. And so we took the Chief and the Chieftain out. She started out on the Chief. We rode out
the Chief Sport.
Chief Sport, yes. So the 116 still. She took that out. We rode out about 20 minutes.
I hated it.
She hated it.
Right?
I hated it.
We swapped bikes. We rode back about 20 minutes.
If it had the 10-inch risers, it might have been better, but the way that it sat when I rode it was not good. I hated it right when I pulled it out.
Is that right?
I hated it.
Yeah, she was not happy on it. Just the seating position, it was still a lot of, getting beat up by the wind and everything. Even though it's the longer wheelbase and a better suspension, it's like, we're going from a Sportster to a Dyna still. The Dyna was better, but it still wasn't a touring bike. But, in the later years, you could get cruise control on a Dyna. So that was the upside. She had a bigger engine and she had cruise control. Okay. But she still didn't have a stereo or anything like that. And she would usually use like her, Senna and just Bluetooth sound. So, but we swapped. She gets on the Chieftain. The first stoplight we came to, she just looks over at me and she's just like, oh my God, this is a million bajillion times better. I'm just like, thank God the Scouts paid off because that's going to take a big chunk out of this bike.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, to be fair, they gave us a ridiculous amount for my Scout.
So
did they? Nice.
If you are looking to buy an Indian and you know that you are going to be at, I believe it's Sturgis, Laconia, or Daytona.
Okay.
That is the time to buy.
That's the time?
There was no destination charge, no setup charge.
Nice.
They gave us, and I tried to call them out on this at first. They're like, we'll give you $1,500 over your trade-in price. Well, that's easy. You just adjust my trade-in price and, then tell me you're giving me $1,500.
Numbers.
I'm not
Yeah.
a schmuck here. And they're like, oh, well, what do you think your bike's worth? I think the bike's worth this much. They went $1,500 over that.
Nice.
I don't know.
They're just moving them. That's why.
I don't know that my home dealer would have even gave me what I wanted for the bike, much less another $1,500.
Right.
So that actually made her bike, even though she's got the more expensive bike, that made her bike cheaper than mine.
You mean the better bike?
Oh, there we go.
It is a gorgeous, gorgeous bike. And like I said,
By gorgeous means sexy. Sexy
absolutely.
bike.
Yeah.
Just
That
like
bat
your
wing
baby.
Yeah,
fairing,
I agree.
perfection.
Batwing, baby.
They at Sturgis, they put special badging on the bike there. I even tried to ask them, I was like, can I buy some of this badging to put on my bike? And they're like, no, you can only get that if you buy a bike. I was like, I just bought a bike. You're like, yeah.
You didn't buy it here.
Yeah, exactly. So no, they were so friendly there. I can totally understand why Squirt got his bike there in 2020.
He did.
So, very, very friendly, very easy to deal with because nobody likes the, buying experience where you got to sit there and play the game.
Yep.
They
the
were not
numbers
like
game.
that. They were not like that one bit. So I think the longest part of the buying process was us taking the bikes out. Otherwise, they just got business done.
Made it happen.
Yeah. And then they had her bike sold like the next day.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Sturgis is crazy that way.
It's
Big Daddy's
ridiculous.
trike was sold before he sold,
I remember
traded
that.
to them.
Yeah.
You're like, what the heck? How does this even
He
work?
didn't even have his stuff off the
No,
bike.
in front of the guy, we had to take the shit off. You know?
We had people walking up to my bike and asking me about it before I even got on the
That's so
Chieftain.
freaking cool, though, that they're moving bikes that fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
We hadn't even decided to make the deal and people were already looking at her bike. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I hope, guys. So I tried. We'll just do a roundtable if there's anything else left, and then we'll take it out. Ultimately, hopefully, it was objective podcast with different opinions. I think honestly, 99% of what we talked about, we're all on the same page. At the end of the day, I don't steer anybody towards any bike. What I try to do is get on as many bikes as I can and try to objectively review them based on the experience. And the more bikes I get to ride, the more experience I have. Both, if we're going to do it to the CVO or the Pursuit, both awesome bikes. You're going to be happy with both. Your knees are going to be in the breeze. You're going to have thousands of miles of fun. And that's what it's all about anyways. I would say go get on both of them if you can and see what speaks to you at the end of the day. They are very different bikes, although they're very similar in so many ways, which is weird to say. Because they're both full-size touring bikes, but there's a lot of different little nuances with both. And really it's going to be what speaks to you. I will say, before I would have said, before the 2023 CVO, and I already talked about the Indian Pursuit, that suspension is amazing stock. We're used to, subpar suspension in a lot of the Harleys. I will say, and I think that's part of Harley listening and Indian listening too, is with the 2023 CVO, that suspension is amazing. Although not electronically adjustable, it is completely different and better suspension. So I'm going to say both those bikes, if you wanted to, and we started out with it, you don't have to do a lot to them. You're gonna, because that's what we do. But technically speaking, either of those bikes you're going to get into, and if you're not one that wants to make a lot of modification, you just want to get on, set it and forget it and ride the way it is, both of those bikes are going to be amazing bikes for you. And then if you decide later you want to put stuff on, of course, make it yours. But I don't think it's a necessity with either of those bikes out of the gate. So yeah, that's what I have to say. And then round table it. Anything you have to say, Lurch? Then
Absolutely not. I'm done.
You've said about 2 words.
You've said a lot. You've said a lot, Lurch.
Lurch podcast me by
Very
himself all the
talkative.
time. And
Yeah,
he's
I
like,
love
I
it.
like this. I just
I
sit
love
around and
this.
listen.
Yeah, just make wise ass comments once in a while.
That's my
And he
job.
didn't get teased this podcast.
I'll try to do more of the work for you.
Yeah, this has been great. I really enjoy it.
Anything?
No,
For the good of the order?
This has been amazing. Just being here. Yeah, everyone says it when they come in here. Seeing this facility. I mean, this is coming to. I don't know. Maybe Mecca's a little too much, but
I think so.
For those of us that contribute, it's just so wonderful to be able to come here and see what we're contributing to.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, I almost think like you guys need to, set up the store like, I know Gas Monkey Garage on, Discovery Channel. You can go down to Dallas and see the garage and stuff. I mean,
We have the store that way.
the store is that way?
Oh, yeah.
I was running late. We
I wish
intended
we
to go down there, but
we wish we
were
could have
running
got you
late,
to it.
so-
No, we've had multiple people in the store building, and all you got to do is hit us up. Lurch, actually, when he's there, it's open. And so people have actually come locally and they bought stuff
that'd be
directly.
great.
So yeah, the store facility is for tour, especially for
Okay,
patron
next time I
members.
gotta put
We will
more
make it
time
happen
aside.
if we can for patron members for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got to ask you this as we take it out. There's just a lot of comments, and I appreciate
I
it, guys. In there, I can't keep up. But so seeing it on video and seeing the live podcast, I always like to ask, how was it different, if anything, in your opinion, when you got here? Like bigger, smaller? Like I didn't realize it was this advanced, or what? Because it's so hard because you guys see it on the other end. I'm in here every day. Anything, or was it pretty much what you expected?
So the actual studio room here, I imagine it being a little smaller and tighter.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, like this whole back half where you've got equipment and everything.
I'll hit that angle here.
If you hit the angle looking over my shoulder,
Yeah.
I did not realize like how deep that
Okay.
the shop goes and everything. So
Interesting. Yeah, it's always funny how
great. The bathroom, because the door's always closed.
That's right.
Okay.
well, not
Going
always.
in there is like, man, you guys did a really nice job with that bathroom. that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you lay the tile or did
No,
you have
my
someone do
wife,
that?
I had this all built because I'm not a
Yeah.
carpenter. I can work on bikes, but I'm not a good carpenter. But no, my wife helped me decorate and do all that. She didn't lay it, obviously, the tile, but she helped me pick everything. And I wanted a living space. So like Popeye has stayed here before, so I can put we have a roll of bed that blows up and, one of those deals, and somebody could stay here if they need to, or when she kicks me out, when she's pissed off. I'm just teasing. I haven't actually had to sleep out here, but so she helped with a lot of the colors and the decorating. Bob Dawson helped pick the colors, and he painted this whole thing. He painted the store too. He did this for free. Unbelievable. He gave his time.
Excellent.
He wanted to do it for the store. We're
Amazing.
like, no, we're paying you for the store. But
We took the good buddy deal.
we took the good buddy deal, but still, amazing. But no, it was all built. I really didn't build any of it. So yeah.
I'm kind of jealous. So we had about a year and a half ago, we had a garage fire. Amazingly, the bikes were okay. Yeah.
Wow.
The fire went like up and
over.
over. The bikes were parked in the middle. Excuse me, I'm moving away from the
Thank
mic.
you. Yeah, good. Good
The
mic
bikes
etiquette there.
the bikes were parked in the middle, and the fire started on one side of the garage and just kind of went up and over the bikes and just down the other side. So getting the garage done, it's like, man, the bathroom's right on the other side of the wall. Why didn't I have them put a urinal in?
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
it's money,
absolutely.
isn't it? Everybody comments about like that's the
You
baddest.
still
That
can,
is
by the
so
way.
great.
All you got, it's just a little sheetrock.
I did talk him into adding more outlets into my garage because I just had
That's-
one on either
yeah.
side, and I was like, dude, the circuit runs all the way around. Can you throw me in some more outlets? He's like, yeah, sure.
You should have seen
Because
what
he had to do new drywall anyway. So
Right. When I was talking to the electrician when we were building this, I still remember him. They didn't quite understand because, it's, it's not a huge city, but I tried to explain to him it's a media studio and how many plugins I wanted, and I wanted them all 4-bangers. And he was like, all right, so they were metering how much we could pull off the house to get here. And I go,
You're
but we're going to
asking
do
for commercial
yeah,
grade.
Yeah, LED lighting. I got plug-in. Well, you can see everywhere because I was like, with all this film gear and stuff, you're charging everything. But we're very blessed to be in this facility considering where we started. And I'm always appreciate being able to share it, with people that see it on video and being able to be in it and see it and stuff. We're very blessed. We got this
video
facility.
does not do it justice.
It never does.
Is
Isn't
so
that
much
funny?
nicer in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And of course, we're always adding, they just built the studio, all the acoustic and lighting. That's all me, over the years trying to set up. That's where we do our talking head videos behind y'all. Key to that with those key lightings. If you ever see the talking heads with us behind us is those key lights and hair light and microphone and all that. We have a teleprompter over there. And so we have a lot of different uses. We do some stuff in the motorcycle out there, but yeah, it does really well for us for the media side of things. Then we got the store. Yeah. What's up?
Gary Jackson. Thanks to David Schwartz for
Always-
his gift of bathroom door hinges.
No doubt. That's who we were referring to. David Schwartz from Israel. Always make sure aesthetically that we have the bathroom door closed, which we have failed on multiple times. But
See, I would have done like the swinging bar doors, and that was about it.
yeah, right. The urinal was, I was going back to that, was a good, that I always said if I ever get to build a shop, if I'm ever blessed enough to build a shop, it's having a urinal in it, a working urinal. Awesome episode. Very fun. Appreciate Stacy being in here, Anthony being in here. Thank you so much. It's nice. Had I known, well, 2's a lot. That's a lot to put in, but it would be fun just to do a full one with your perspective.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a last minute addition for me to be on here anyway. So
I think that would be just stellar. We don't get enough ladies on here, and so to have that perspective would be fun if we ever get a chance. Yeah.
I gave you one. Mallory.
Oh, yeah.
The racer?
Oh, yeah. We did.
Oh, yeah. We did do that a long time ago.
That was a while ago.
That's right. That was.
She's got her license. She is doing awesome.
That's awesome.
I think she finished 7th overall last year.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to follow up on
in one of her
that.
classes. So, yeah.
That's right. I forgot. That was you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would love to have just to get the more we can ladies on here, because there's a whole nother perspective and dynamic to that. And I know we do have a demographic of lady listeners. I'm sure Lurch has, got a few to leave us just because he's an old pervert. But, other than that, So, yeah, we'll have to see if that works. We love our patron members. We want you to be a patron member right here in the studio. But for whatever reason, we want to get to know you better. We want to get you benefits. We want to get you in the private Facebook group. But for whatever reason, you want to support us with a flat donation, we certainly never buck at a flat donation. We want to thank the following people for their flat donations.
Grant Doro of Sydney, Australia. Donita Canterbury of Williamson, West Virginia. And John Giglio of Auburndale, Massachusetts.
Anthony. Hey, Stacy, how about you?
Dennis Hillison of Marcel, Illinois. Russell San Felice of Cornville, Arizona. And Arnold Gustafson of Jacksonville, Florida.
Nicely done. Her voice is so much more soothing than yours,
Way
Anthony.
better than mine, yeah.
I'm just saying, it put me to sleep. Put me right there, dude. Relax me. Just It's nice to have a lady's voice on the mic. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. All right. Yeah, guys, thanks for being here. I hope it was a good episode, and this is going to be up right now. It's live on YouTube. It was a live public event. Remember, if you're tuning in late and you're getting the closing here, these are normally reserved for our mid-level and above patron members. We do these all year long. Live video broadcast, chat, community, networking, laughing, enjoying each other. You should see the chat while you can, because this is live public going on in there. And we appreciate all our moderators, in there. I wasn't really watching. I don't see. We're pretty good. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows Law Abiding Biker Media now. We've done really good with troll control. And we just don't allow them, so they don't really come around here much. But if there wasn't any trolls and you booted them out, well, good job. Thanks for monitoring the trolls for me. But it has gotten better, huh, Lurch?
Yeah.
Like, we just don't get trolls. They just went away eventually. They're like, that's not the channel. We don't allow their comments. We block. We don't care if you're a subscriber or not. If you say something really crappy, you just get blocked. So we don't really care about that. So thanks so much, guys, for being in here and for being part of the biker revolution.